What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CCshow, the Carla Show. Okay, you guys, I decided to do a show. I've been really, listen, my week, it's been crazy. I was just having one of those, last week was crazy, okay? The beginning of this week, I'm still a little bit crazy. I am taking like more hours than normal, trying to finish up my master's degree. And this is kind of one of my most intense parts of it. So kind of forgive me for the inconsistency, the fact that I haven't got the new stuff up and everything like that. We're gonna do it. Just be patient. It is one of those things. I've been crazy, okay. And yeah, because I have two more I think I have two more semesters left. Well, I really am supposed to just have one. I can decide if I'm going to go right next semester, but I think I'm gonna stretch it out to two because it's just I don't want to be overwhelmed, because I got so much even going on. God bless next year. So yeah, so that's what my week has been. I hope you guys have had a wonderful week. So I'm coming down here immediately making excuses to why y'all ain't got no show. I did give y'all a show last week, though. I think early last week. Yeah. So, yeah. So, okay. This morning, I really got it's a word for y'all. It's something that happened to me last week in class, right? And I hope it will help you guys. It's something that happened to me. I was going into class because I have this playwright class, right? And I haven't taken playwriting in a long time. And this is very intense because this is graduate playwriting class, okay? And so I'm like, you know what? I really am not, I haven't wrote in years, because it's like, when I wrote in my undergrad playwright class, it was quick. I could do a quick scene. It was, uh, I got a lot of great feedback from that. Lots of great, but I just didn't, I think I didn't believe my feedback. And I remember the teacher sent me a special note and everything. And I was like, what? It was, and she's telling me, blah, 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 you're down, you're phenomenal. But I still don't, I'm still kind of funny, about, like in the words of Erica, but do keep in mind, I'm kind of an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. So I was kind of very sensitive about it. And so this playwright class is like a true playwright class. It's like you come together in a room, you read each other's scripts, everything. Okay. So we had our first scene due. Listen, I have always been intimidated by theater, even though this is my undergrad degree and it was my degree when I started off in school. My grandmother used to get so mad at me because I was so into because theater is an elitist, in my personal opinion, kind of an elitist thing, right? It has an air of elitism to theater. It's always, to me, in my personal opinion, always has. And when I decided to study theater when I was coming out of high school, because I had done theater stuff, my grandmother got me having me in theater when I was like 12 or 13. So I thought, and I did it all through high school and stuff like that. And I thought, yeah, I love theater work and all this stuff. Plus I like singing and stuff like this. So I was like, yeah, maybe, I'll stay, I'll do that. But when I remember my perspective schools, it was so intimidating because I'm coming out of, this is Generation X era, where the urban areas are very strong. Urban schools, where you went to urban area schools and stuff like that. And I always felt that the kids, like, because when I get to school, there's mostly, my peers are mostly white, in that now it's not the same anymore, and it was always very elite because they knew, so the way they were expansive in theater versus what I knew, because in the hood schools you just put together a play. I was laughing. I remember telling one of my teachers, we didn't know nothing about scale, we just put our stuff together. And it was impressive, but it's very different once you get into, and I just remember all the time I was being intimidated. And then when I transferred to Oral Roberts, I was like totally, because because I was going to a Christian school, and a lot of the theater group at ORU, believe it or not, didn't seem very Christian. That's just my personal opinion back in those days. And it was always very intimidating for me, always. So I've always had been a little bit sensitive to the thing I decided to study. And I've always been great at teaching it and doing stuff like that. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go forward in it. And when I decided to go back and finish my degree, it was an intimidating task because I'm older, and I'm like, you know what, I got to finish this. My grandmother always said, "Don't leave nothing out there." so I went back. I finished it with a lot of younger people, but they were so helpful. I got back into acting. I realized so many great things. I was like, oh my God. So it wasn't as intimidating anymore. Well, coming into this grad class today, it was last week. I felt those same feelings of intimidation again that I had not felt in a long time. I was like, oh my God, I have to read this script out loud. I don't know if it's good. I don't know. I write from a very urban perspective sometimes. I can write the other way, but I like to write from the stories I know, or stories I've kind of at least seen in my life, or things, that went on. I tend to borrow from them and do, when I write. So sometimes I'm thinking, oh God, because today in the theater world, like a lot of the kids, they're so talented. And a lot of times with a lot of the young Black people, sometimes they've gone to not just urban schools. Sometimes their parents they're suburban kids and stuff like that. It's very different in some ways. So I went into this nonetheless very intimidated. So we're passing around, the scripts in class. Everybody's reading. People's scripts are great. I mean, they like bomb. They're really good. I'm like the dialogue. Oh my God. I mean, these kids are great. I mean, very talented. The future of playwrights should not be scarce. Okay. I mean, these kids are great. Right. So it gets me, I'm the last one in class, the very last one to read mine. Well, no, I'm not the last one because a person comes in after me late, but I was looking like I was the last one, right? And they come in very, very, because it's almost the end of class. They just came in to read their script, right? Because they had something else and the teacher knew, I guess, whatever. I don't know. So right before I get ready to read my play, I pass out my script to everyone. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is very urban. It's via 80s, 90s, because that's where this story that I had in my head took place. And when I wrote it, I wrote it from a perspective of something that had happened in my family, but also I kept seeing all week when I was getting ready to do the script. That's how I write. Sometimes I'll see like a scene or something, and I kept seeing this woman scrubbing the floor. So I was like, oh my goodness. So basically, I was like, I wrote from this perspective of it's urban. It's about suicide. It's a lot of things. Okay, so I'm passing out the script. So we have to have people volunteer to read the scripts in class. And so all the black people had read like three or four scripts. So when it came to volunteering for mine, all the white kids in class raised their and this is a very urban place. So I'm like, oh Lord, this is gonna be funny. But it's a reading. So I didn't really feel intimidated by that. And actors, you got to read sometimes things you don't want to read. And there's the N word is in there. And so I was like, and it was just funny when we get to this part. But right before I read this young man had done this play before me really good. And there's this girl in class she's really nice, but she kind of, she's one of those people who say things. I think sometimes she's like, like she catches herself when she said, she's kind of both. She goes to him, she said, oh, I'm so glad You're next to like last because I'm intimidated already. Okay, nobody knows it because I got my scorpion poker face on. She said, yeah, I'm glad you've gone almost last because I mean, how's anybody gonna come behind that? That's what she says to the guy who just read before me, right? And then she turns to me and says, "Oh, you're next. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that." Everybody in class is looking like, "Oh God," right? I said, "No, that's fine, that's fine." But I'm already intimidated, so I'm like, "Oh." you know, so passing this script around, we get to I pick mostly white kids. We get to the script reading, they're reading the script, right? They get to the N-word part. It's so funny. I said, okay, so I'm going, the girl's like, I don't know what I said, you can say just, be comfortable just saying, the N-word. And she was like, oh no, I can't. I said, no, not the actual word, the N-word, if that's making you uncomfortable. Today's actors are so sensitive. I really, when I the little that I've done some directing and you really, I mean, you have to have now was intimacy. It's all kind of things you got to have now, but it's just a very different world from when I was younger and growing up. But this has always happened to me every year. Let me tell you, I mean, anytime I'm intimidated and I'm forced to share some intimate writings or things, I'm always shocked at people's reaction. They finish reading the script. They've had a good chuckle about the N-word and everything like that. Who should say the N-word? And our teacher gives a little speech like, no, you guys got to be comfortable, whatever. Soon as my script closes, the whole class is like, yeah, oh my God. And all clap. I'm like, what? This was so good. The dialogue, I was like, and I don't ever think that I'm always feeling like the kid that's not good enough. Even though I'm older, I'm like, oh my God, you guys like it like that. I mean, it was the response was so amazing. And my teacher stops and says to me, he says, "Can I ask you, said something about how did you come up with?" And I said, "Well, this is something that actually kind of in some ways happened in my family." I said, but I said, I've added some things and took something. And he tells the class, he uses it for the teaching moment, said, hey, this is what you do. You write from what you know, write from things you do. And so it really upped my confidence because I was intimidated for nothing. I'm sitting here thinking I'm so urban and I'm so this and that, but it was actually the difference about about the writing that people loved. And they loved the dialogue. They loved everything. And I remembered what that teacher told me. And I thought when she wrote me this little note, I was like, oh gosh, she's over, she's not really meaning I'm that great of a writer. And so I found what I'm telling you guys this for today is because this journey for me about going back to school, getting back in theater and stuff like that, it has been one where I have been sometimes so unsure of myself. And then, I'm getting ready to even get back. I'm getting ready to start singing again because, because I feel like I expand yourself even into musical theater. But every time you think that you're not, it's not going to be good enough, you're not good enough, trust yourself. This is what I'm learning. Trust myself more. And don't be scared. I'm sitting here half a class, most of the class, like, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. And it ends up being the opposite. And people, the thing that I was scared that would be the most difference about it, I was scared that was very different voices from today because everybody writes in a certain way. And I'm going back urban 80s. 90s to tell this story. I'm thinking, are the kids gonna get it? Are they adults? In this, white? They love the script. My worries were ridiculous, And the girl who had said that beforehand to me, everybody was, she said you could come behind. When she found out I could come behind, but I didn't know I could. So it was very rewarding. And I'm telling you guys, this is because you may have situations in your life where you're going through, like me, you're going through a journey, and you have to be vulnerable with people, and you have to share some things that you're like, ugh, I don't know if this is what I think it is. I don't know if it's this or that, or I don't know if it's good, or you're doing something that's very unique or very different. Trust yourself. Be open to the criticism. Be open to whatever it is. It will surprise you about what you think you can't do. Usually, is something you can. So and you know how much confidence that gave me? My gosh. Like, wow. So I just say that, and I've had a number of things like that starting back into this journey with going back to school at an older age to finish my degrees, to finish what I should have finished years ago. And I say, excuse me, I'm drinking with you guys. Don't be intimidated. Don't be scared. I remember when I was going to UTA, there was an older lady who came back in class, and I tried to really become friends with her because she was a Black lady, and she just taken up theater. And me and her were talking. She said, well, I do a lot of theater work at my church and everything. And so I was like, whatever you do. I remember telling her, don't let them intimidate you. And she's like, I said, because we're older. And I said, you're going to feel like they know, like they understand the computer world better. They understand, because this lady was virtually like she was coming back after maybe 30 years or something like that. She did let that happen. She let them intimidate her out of those classes, in my personal opinion, because it's I remember saying to one of my people came to me and said, "Wow, what you think happened?" I said, "I think theater is elitist, and I think sometimes, you have to understand that the background, people come from various backgrounds that have talents that are not necessarily how can you say it? Not necessarily smoothed out. Not necessarily, they haven't been, if you went to an urban school in the 80s and 90s, it's very different from going to a suburban school. The tools you use, the atmosphere, the things you learn or whatever. So I said, sometimes when you're coming from those different places, people have to be recognizing that they may not know, they may be naturally talented at drawing, but they may not. Like when I first came into theater, I'm not a set person. I'm not a drawer. I don't really draw and stuff. But how I used to create my sets for people to see. And before I knew scale, I could create a set. I could buy stuff, go arts and crafts stuff. And I know how to create how I want it to look. Put it out, right? When I get to theater, I find out, oh, they like scale, you scale. But I didn't know that at first, because what I was doing in school, And so I think, and I still sometimes don't use scale. I mean, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But especially if you're going to do like set design and stuff like that, most people use the, theater scale and draw out. I'm not a set designer, but I'll do it if I got to. But I think that you can't let that energy intimidate you. I was determined to finish what I came to finish. So those feelings that I was having, being scared and thinking I wasn't good enough, and all the people around me knew. Listen, I got in there and I worked my ass off, things I didn't know. And I had a hard time my first semester back, because I had this one class that was really tough. And it really pushed me. But it ended up being really good. I had a few classes that were really tough, but they ended up being really good for me, and the creative process for me. And what I found is, when I was graduating, I remember they forgot, because they do this thing, they do theater. They have this thing at school, at UTA, my undergrad. and they tend to they have a program for all the the students that are graduating, and they say something about them, right? So the two people women who were over the grad thing, who are two of my favorite teachers who helped me through the process of this, the intimidation of this, thought I was graduating the semester before. So they didn't think to put me in. So they go, so they find I get this thing, I get a thing telling me, oh, to come to the thing to because they're honoring the graduates. So I was like, okay. They go, Keisha, oh my God, you graduate. Oh no. So they're running around. I'm like, what's wrong with them? Or something's like, Keisha, you got to come up on stage. I'm like, what? They're like, we thought you were graduating next semester. So I'm like, okay. Oh my goodness. So I said, that's okay. No panic. I didn't even know y'all people were having it. She said, yes, you would have got a thing, whatever, we messed up or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, they just told me in another class. I think it was another class or something like that. So I'm getting there. All these theater students are in there, and I am like, wow, okay, I'm up on stage. They've forgotten about me, and they forgot I'm graduating. I'm one of I think it's like 15 of us, 10 or 15 of. So they go through the things, because people knew ahead of time versus me, because I didn't get the information because they thought I was graduating the semester afterward, right? And so everybody, they say all these great, lovely things about each student. So they get to me. Let me tell you something. Sometimes it's better to be unplanned, right? I'm sitting here going, oh my God, what in the world? I got the best. Let me tell you something. That's why I say God sometimes know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So me, I'm like feeling all those intimidation things, all those normal things. They forgot me, or they blah, blah, blah. My two favorite teachers during the whole time both get up, come to the podium, and they do together do the most beautiful tribute to me. I was almost in tears. I mean, they were like, when we first saw her, coming in, we were like, she's how old? And she's these, okay. She's got how many semesters left? And they were talking about, we just didn't know, and they gave me a picture of myself that I did not have. And so afterwards, you got to come up and talk. So none of the kids, it was so my favorite, because none of the kids, I was turning 50. I think I had just turned 50. None of the kids knew. Most of the kids in class, they know me as this, I'm vibing with them. I'm, doing that, to do the latest songs and stuff like that. So I get up there. I say to the class, and I say thank them and everything, and thank, because the tribute is so beautiful. I mean, what they said about me, I just could not. I was like, my God, Lord, I'm glad. I can't believe this is in there. When people were like, oh my God. I say I'm 50. They all the kids, they don't know. So it's they're going. So when I come on stage, they're all like, "Oh my God, we think you're lying," or I'm like, "No," what I'm saying. But it was it was so fun. All the things that I was scared of, all things it's just, when they say fear is false evidence appearing real, that's what it was. I had no need to be intimidated. I had the best tribute at all. My tribute wasn't even playing. I had the best tribute ever. I had the most fun, it was a beauty. So those moments that you're feeling intimidated, you're feeling scared about, and you're feeling like, oh my God, I don't know if this is going to go well. I just let you guys know that go for it. Just do it anyway, whether it goes well or it doesn't go well. I've been in those places where it hasn't went well too. You know what I'm saying? So go for it, because there's so much growth, and usually it is nothing what you think. Like, I was going into class and I was so intimidated. And this school I'm at now, where I'm at graduate school now at, UTA was a little bit more, my undergrad was a little bit more loosely. This is kind of like, I feel like I had great theater teachers there too, but this I feel is a little bit more like, I don't even know how to say it. Like maybe even more intimidating, a little bit more upscale. and it's different level because it's a graduate school level. So it is, yeah. So it's yeah. So I'm just telling you guys, I'm using my own stories, but never be scared to be vulnerable or to put yourself out there to do what you got to do. You'll end up finding that it's not anything, it's not as hard as you think. Okay. It's never, and if it is going to be hard, if you're going to, it's a lesson. So I hope you guys take that for what it's worth. I hope it encourages you. That's part of my week, being encouraged by that. And yeah, okay. So don't be afraid. Some things is just not. It is nothing what you think. All the intimidation, all the fear, everything. Listen, you got what it takes to do what you need to do. God's put everything in you to do what you need to do. And oftentimes those fear tactics and things are there to move you into the space you need to go. Because you'll keep moving throughout the world in different parts. And I mean, throughout your journey in different things, whatever your journey is. So, and that's the way you'll learn and expand your experience and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys get it and you're encouraged about it. Okay. That's your it's a word for today. All right. I did have an it's a word. All right. All right, let's get to this hot topics of the week. I don't know. Y'all are saying out here, I am hearing y'all. I mean, Jay-Z didn't get that. Okay. Jay-Z and Beyonce did not apparently get, Jay-Z and Rock Nation. They have turned down Jay-Z for the casino, but Nas got approved for the casino. And there's a number of reasons I think Nas got approved for that casino. It's not Nas really. It's Nas is one of the spokespeople for it. And he's not even what Jay-Z was claiming to be. Jay-Z was like a major face, but Nas is just one of the many people, but that were trying to be in the promotion. So was Jay-Z, but Jay-Z was claiming to be a major face. There's a couple of reasons I think. I think there's already a casino in that area of Queens. It's in the outskirts of New York. It's like a suburb of New York, Queens is, or something like that. And I think there's already a casino close by or something like that. So it was probably easier to get that approval done versus Jay-Z trying to go to the middle of Times Square near the theater district and trying to get a casino in Manhattan. Okay. That was quite the long shot, right? Yeah, and a lot of people are there are rumors starting to be out here that I'm just telling y'all these rumors on the streets, allegedly, it's not been going so well from Jay-Z and Beyonce. People are thinking that people being whispering money laundering things with Jay-Z. I said that if Jay-Z had a fall, it was going to be business. I told y'all this when we were on Blog Talk Radio. Not that anybody's wishing them a fall, but sometimes Black artists tend to become the face of what's white capital behind it, and they're trying to look like they own things. They're this, they're that, they're this and that. And while you may have a natural gift to understand business and stuff like that, sometimes they're not. Jay-Z, I don't know if Jay-Z have a high school diploma. I don't even know. But a lot of times you're taking on so much expansion in these business deals and stuff like that. There are things going on that you can't understand. Even somebody with a degree in business or smart and stuff like that, it's hard. Let alone somebody like Jay-Z who comes from, a past that, and that's not to make him feel bad, but just, known to be drug dealer, gone to successful. And was Jay-Z the business? Even when Jay-Z started, I think Dame was the business, right? Not that Jay-Z probably wasn't somewhat talented in it, but I think there's always been a partner with him that has understood business a little bit more. So I always felt that it was scary, a little weird territory for him because he was taking on so many projects. I was like, And then I knew he wasn't, I know my person, this wasn't hating on him or anything like that, but that he is not the face. I mean, he is the face of those projects. He doesn't, a lot of that stuff is not, you know, my personal opinion, you don't own as much as you say, right? But it's to make black, a lot of times what they're trying to do is set off black ownership when it's really black product placement. Okay. Um, but y'all seeing a lot of stuff on these streets about Jay-Z and Beyonce, they house they brought in England, people talking about some flood trash. I mean, it's all kind of stuff going on out here. Yeah, and I, you know what? I listen. I wasn't surprised at him not getting that casino in. It's just where it was. It's just I just never I never thought they would get that. I think, and then you're talking about Jay-Z's grandma celebrates 100th birthday. So Jay-Z celebrates grandma's 100th birthday, and this week they announced the Super Bowl winner. Now here's the rumors that was going on with the Super Bowl. The rumors were that Taylor Swift was going to do the Super Bowl. They asked Taylor Swift first. That's the rumors. Taylor Swift could not get, the NFL allegedly would not promise Taylor Swift all the things she needed to do the show. She pulled out. That's what the rumors were. In comes Bad Bunny. Okay. It should be interesting, to say the least. And that's all I got. Okay, so yeah, so those were the rumors this week. Now, people have been asking me, what do you think this means for Jay-Z and Beyonce and them, that, you know, they didn't get the casino? I think this means the end of white capital backing you, really. I really do. Now, I could be completely wrong. I think Jay-Z and Beyonce are going to try their damnedest, and I can't blame them, to hold on. I think what's going on with them is that I said the other week that white capital may be realizing that their influence is not as strong as they thought. I always said they were a bubble. Who created influence as they go along? Create the bubble, people believe it, people come out to, you know what I'm saying? You know, I think the influence, as people become more educated, to the internet has so much more information and stuff like that, it is harder to come through and be that influential face and saying your certain things without people not looking into you and investigating you and seeing if you really that and everything. I feel that they spent tremendous capital on, and this is not money, this is just my personal meaning, tremendous not capital, I don't know if capital is the right word for it, because it sounds like I'm saying money. Tremendous influence that they had on trying to get that country album promoted, and they might have spent the wad on that. I think that people didn't like it. I think people thought it was from what I heard, the rumors I heard that from industry people, that they didn't like her coming through pretending that she's the top selling country album. She even said herself it wasn't a country album at first, and all these things. And so there, you know, fans liked it because Beyonce fans are interesting. I think we might be, I'd be surprised at what you see. Beyonce's, here's the thing, they might support the shows because Beyonce's she's a great performer. But I think when it comes to buying products from Beyonce, as I've always said, or buying products for her and Jay-Z, they're too ethereal. Nobody wants to buy products from ethereal people. My great grandma and them used to all say, don't be so heavenly minded that you know earthly good. What says that's a scripture, I think, or something like that. Girl, you so heavenly minded that you know earthly good. That's Jay-Z and Beyonce in some senses. They're so gotten so elite. They think that this is still the time of that you can do the 80s, 90s star. You really can't if you're going to sell product. You can ask Rihanna that. I think Rihanna has done with her line of makeup and underwear is not. I believe Rihanna is a fashionista. Rihanna spent 2 years walking around New York City, like I said, just dressing up before she had children or anything. Kind of establishing herself as that fashion girl. Rihanna, when she started doing when she did the bad girl, whatever, the anti and all that, very fashionable, very different, unique in how she put things out. And then Rihanna is very, even though she's not accessible, she seems very accessible. She talks to her fans, she jokes with her fans, she's out at these influencers things when it's time to promote things. I am not surprised that Rihanna it ends up selling things well. Rihanna has very down home vibe. Beyonce has been putting this shell, unfortunately, or she bought the hype to fall into this shell, like trying to do a Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't suit her well. If you're going to sell products. You seem like, I mean, it seems like when there's nothing about you, the fans, and I understand this because I talked about this, what Beyonce is doing, this using this ethereal thing to kind of have people more kind of worship you, like you have keep them at a distance, but they kind of worship you more than know you. But Beyonce, the problem is that her and Jay-Z always try to sell products to people, but people don't like to buy from you if they can't relate to you in some sort of way. And I think they've done a bad job at that. I think that's why people don't people like the shows, but people don't really want to. Outside of that, do they want to buy your hair products? Do they want to buy Sir Davis? They want to buy Ace of Spades. Puffy, same thing with Puffy different. Like same thing with Puffy as Rihanna. Diddy is a salesman. Diddy didn't try to do no Ace of Spades and be all glamorous. Diddy took Ciroc at him with that alcohol company he was working with, partnering with, and he became the brand manager, kinda. But he sold that product. Diddy is a party guy. He can sell anything. He seems relatable, even though, beforehand, before we knew all this other stuff. He had a way of relating to people where people was having Ciroc at, when it was time for COVID, people had Ciroc in their houses, Ciroc parties. Because Ciroc is affordable. It just didn't seem crazy, and Diddy just has that personality where he can sell. Jay-Z does not. This is never win. I mean, they start off selling really well because of their names, but then it deflates. And I think the important thing is because they haven't been their brands have not been relatable. They've been ethereal, and people don't want to buy like that. If they don't want to buy from something that's so heavenly minded, there's no earth good. So that's what I'll say on that. That's what my talk is for today for that. But happy birthday to Jay-Z. Grandma 100 is a milestone. Okay. What else y'all want me to talk about out here? Okay. Pulling up some of the stuff that I wanted to touch on this week. Okay, Barack Obama's back out here. Barack always has very interesting things to say. This is from the gentleman .com, .com, I think on Instagram. And they put out this thing about Barack. They said he didn't hold back at London O2's arena, telling the crowd that 80% of the world's problems involve old men hanging on, afraid of death and insignificance. Wow. I think this is a dangerous concept to sell to people. But let's listen to him, okay? And I have such a very different concept about um, things like this, and I'll say, especially as you get older, okay? But let me put this up here so we do this so you guys can see it. Fair use, by the way, fair use for everything I do on try to do on here. Because I try to use it for educational purposes, or you guys to hear something like that we're talking about, and allegedly on everything. Okay, but let me get y'all so y'all can see this here. I think we get it up here. Okay, let's see what he had to say.
80% of the world's problems involve old men hanging on and who are afraid of death and insignificance, and they won't let go. And they build pyramids and they put their names on everything, and they're very anxious about it. Also, especially young people, because it's fair to say that 80% of the world's problems involve.
I believe this is some of the world's problems, not 80%. Here's the thing about those old men: they usually have students under them. Progression is never about age. Being progressive is never about age. You can be a young person and still learn old values, old things that are outdated because of certain things that you were raised under, or certain things that you were or certain leaderships that you were raised under. How does racism keep going? At a certain point, people buy into, when they're young, like, I always laugh and I say, like, the 60s and the 70s, a lot of people believed, oh, racism is going to get better. And it did in some ways. It went more underground. I don't know if it got better, it went more underground. But they thought because of the hippies and stuff like that. But that was just a small time in those people's life. At a certain point, hippies cleaned up and bought into the system, the American system, and brought into this and that. So those young people started to become the system, okay? Progression has nothing progressive. You can be young and not progressive. You can be old but very progressive. Some of you guys would say Bernie Sanders is, okay? You can be, some people would say Ron Paul was a very progressive or stuff like that. You can be, I don't like them saying that because that implies ageism. Most of the times when you see leadership even in the Bible, especially, Moses didn't come into leadership. You know how old Moses was when he goes back to Egypt and he tells Pharaoh, he has a young protege, some would say, with him, Aaron, right? And Moses doesn't speak very well. Aaron was, I think, the mouthpiece for Moses because Moses had a stutter, right? So a lot of people don't know that, but Moses went in, and Moses was, when he goes back to Egypt because remember, he's chased out of Egypt because he kills an Egyptian, even though he was part of the Pharaoh's he was adopted into the Pharaoh's family, but he has a run because it's illegal to kill an Egyptian if you're, if you're a Hebrew, right? So he's ran out of town and he's gone for a number of years. When Moses shows back in Egypt and tells Pharaoh to let my people go, Moses is around 80 some years old. Moses is stepping into leadership at almost 80 something. Don't buy the hype, young people, that about holding, because these people, they want to, what's going on sometimes with them is they want to run young people behind the scenes. They want to puppeteer young people. And they've made young people think the future belongs to the youth. I always used to hear this. I've heard preachers say this, everybody. No, it does not. The future does not belong to you. The future belongs to everybody. You will always have the old, the young, and in between. The future is never just about you. You may lead the future. And by the time you lead the future, you become the old. Baby boomers I always laugh. I tell people all the time, baby boomers are just now leaving the workplace. Generation X is the smallest generation, and we're older now. Baby boomers have been in charge all this time. Baby boomers been in charge about 40, 50 years. It is when it is a leader who understands that. It's the leader that understands, not old men hanging on and this and that. That's not what's 80% of the world's problem. 80% of the world's problem is that we don't understand that we're in this all together. It is the leader who understands that it has nothing to do with age. It has nothing, because ageism can be taught, even though you're more likely to be, when you're a certain age, to be more stubborn about things and stuff like that. But there are a lot of young people stubborn about things, right? And about what they know. Some people say the arrogance of the youth, right? I say judge people, all individuals on a merit, and of the person who understands that the future belongs to everyone, and that a lot of times the old lead the future. By the time Moses is, I always love the story of Moses, because it's so full of leadership things. Moses is frustrated, gets frustrated. God says to him, Moses, you're not going to see the promised land. I mean, you're going to see it, but you ain't going to enter in it. Okay. And this whole generation that you led out of the wilderness, I mean, they got a certain mentality. They can't go in. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got it. Okay. They die off in the wilderness. Moses is see it. But at the time when Moses is getting ready to pass on the baton to what will become Joshua. Joshua was middle-aged. And Joshua has a partner with him in Caleb, who is an old man. So I always tell people, leadership isn't about your age. It isn't about old people hanging on, because some young people can still have old ideas, and some old people can have very fresh, new, young ideas. Okay. So Barack Obama is out here talking, spitting elitism and all this stuff, and they got a certain, don't buy the hype. Okay. That's just my, it's so funny. I'm looking at the replies down here, and somebody said, bro, that's you. Saying that he did. Oh my God. But it's really, and he said he's right. That's why every position in the American government needs term limits. I agree that some position, but you can be young and still come in there corrupt. There's a lot of young corrupt people in Congress right now. And a lot of times that's because they bought into an old system. Not old people, an old system. And there's some old person out here right now who's very progressive and should run for Congress. That's 70 years old, but maybe 30 in their progression. Don't get into judging people with ageism and thinking people have to move out the way. I heard some, it's a group I hear always say stuff like this. They be like, yeah, young people, you gotta move out the way. No. Yeah, at a certain point you do, but most leadership is usually sometimes old for a while. And they are there to train and help the young, because wisdom, there's a lot of wisdom in experience. Okay. So, and understand too, that you'll be sharing the future with older people. So if you understand how that the old people, you're not just important because you're young. Well, I'm the most important thing. That's what's wrong with a lot of society. I was at we were talking about nursing homes the other day, because I have a relative that's going through like physical therapy, and we're just talking about how like some nursing homes are terrible. that people are not looking out for the elderly in society because they put too much focus on the youth. But you're forgetting a certain part of society that are still, some are getting older and can't do as much, but they can still contribute to society. And you think because you're youthful, you're supposed to be the only one contributing to society. You are not. That is a lie. Everybody has contribution, and some people will be in leadership till death. If we respected the old in society, there's no way we'd be letting nursing homes and stuff do this much. But that's because we've overly focused on the youth. And we haven't taught the youth how to have empathy, care about getting older, and sympathy. That's why I used to love. When I went to Oral Roberts, we had this class called Life Cycles, and that's if you were in ministry and stuff like that. And one of the things they had the young people do is we went to a nursing. They used to have this facility at Oral Roberts called the University Village. It was the first of its concept. Now they have many of these things around the United States, but back when it was first opening back in the day, it was the first I think of its kind. It had it's a what they call it University Village. It was a place where there on one side was a nursing home, then there's apartments. Like it's a nursing home if you're very old and you can't move around as much and stuff like that. Then there were apartments for the more older people that still kind of moving and still. Then there were houses, little small houses on this place, and on this village was, on this thing was doctors, nurses, all kinds of things. This was somebody thinking about the elderly and how they move in society. Very vibrant community. Okay, and we would go there as young people. We could to have conversations, to talk and met and kind of merge with the elderly because you learned so much that way. And I think they should do that more with young people today. Young people today have become so youth oriented and youth focused. And you will find yourself in a society where you'll have a group of people, especially the baby boomers who are huge coming up. And then the generations X is a small group, but then millennials are going to be getting old next. And it's a big group of them. And you're going to find yourself in a society where you're not having a lot of impact because you don't know what to do with every part of your society. I always hate when people tell young performers, because they only do this with Black performers. They say, oh, they're too old to be on stage and all this stuff. No, you never, when you have a gift, people use that to sometimes until they die, because that's their gift, that's their talent. They may do it, you may do it in a different capacity as you get older. Like you look at the transition of somebody like Oprah. Once was a big talk show host. Now she's transitioning to smaller things and stuff like that, but she still has a very big impact on society. But she's moving in a way that's, that is, she's getting older. So things are changing for her, but she still has impact. So I don't like that. I hate when somebody says that, because I think you put in young people's mind this idea that, hey, old men are just hanging on and this is what's the cause for the world. And a lot of people take those concepts. Oh, the old is just running. No, the old is there for experience, to give you experience, to experience about things that you don't have. This society has taught young people not to listen to the elderly, not to listen to the old. Sometimes old people, I love this thing that Jason Black says, you can't trust them old niggas. Sometimes there are old people who are stuck in their ways and this like that, but there are young people also that are like that too. So, but you have your old people that can't move or not progressive. You have young people like that too. You have to judge every group by who you talk to. But this youth-oriented culture only believes that they can hear from people with money, that have wisdom, people, certain things. You're wrong. People with money don't always have wisdom. They just got money. But wisdom can come from an old grandma who ain't never been outside her town. But God can give her a word for you to speak in your life that can forever change who you are. You know what I'm saying? But we teach all young people, oh, you ain't got no bag. You can't talk no. It's just so stupid. We are creating a very unwise society, and one in which young people think they're the center. And it's creating narcissism for the youth. Because what they'll find out is that their youth doesn't last, and that they need wisdom as they get older. So that's what I'll say that. So I disagree with Barack Obama on that, okay? Let's move on here. Okay, you know what? Y'all playing. I don't got time. You know, let me all the reasons that y'all should not have a child at the Breezy Bowl. Okay. I mean, no, somebody had their little infant. This is from the neighborhood talk. I ain't gonna play the music part, but this y'all can see this little baby. See a little baby down there got a little ish. She think because she got earphones on the baby, she protecting the baby. That's why y'all need old people. Because old people be like, girl, don't you take that baby to that concert? It's germs all around that concert. You got the baby in the middle of the Breezy Bowl. And I ain't even got to talk about the stuff that Chris Brown is saying and singing about. It's a very sexual show. Why you got an infant at the sexual show? It's a baby. You don't take the baby to the concert. The baby too young. I mean, really, what's going on here? Somebody said, I'd rather see the baby at the concert than dead in the car or left at home alone. No, that's irresponsible. You don't want to see none of that. Just taking a baby to the concert, taking a baby to a concert. Here's what let me tell you something. What's going on a lot of times with young people, I just watched this the other day on Love After Lockup. I watched the show. And I watched a young lady who she had a bunch of children, and she just had 2 babies back to back. She's got with this guy who came out of jail, who at one time allegedly was a drug lord, and he's not anymore. He's trying to get his life together and stuff like that, and he's trying to save money in their marriage. But she wants $100,000 wedding, like she a fly girl. I'm like, nah, you got, and he got 5 kids. Plus, they have 2 babies they just had. And they merged his family all together. And you trying to ask for $100,000 wedding? Girl. Like, listen, she's a beautiful girl, but she has to understand that there are consequences for he's not rich. And there are consequences for when you have 5 babies. And he has 5 kids. And then you come together and you have 2 infants back to back. You can't ask for $100,000. You ain't that girl that can ask for that. Unless he's a rich guy coming in helping you, but he's not. You can't ask for it. She's delusional. You can't ask for $100,000 wedding in your situation. Why I say this? What's that got to do with this baby at the Breezy Bowl? Because you can't go to the concert because you decided to have a baby. And maybe you ain't got nobody to watch the baby. Well, your responsibility is to stay at home and watch the kid. You ain't supposed to bring an infant into a concert with all kind of germs. And it's loud in there. And somebody said that's because grandparents and teenagers don't babysit no more. No, it's not grandparents' responsibility to take responsibility for. That's what's happening a lot. A lot of y'all are entitled. Nobody's supposed to watch your baby. unless you paying them. You get babysitters if you paying them. I heard this little young girl the other day. She said to her mama said, "Come in here and feed the baby." She said, "This is not my baby." She's a little too. She's like 4 or 5 years old. You keep having me feed this baby. You keep having me do this. It's not my baby. I didn't have this baby. And it's somebody said the venue didn't turn her away, so why are we judging? The reason we're judging because older people, we know that you can get the baby sick. The baby can. This is a very small baby. This is not a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. This is even a 3-year-old. This is an infant, and infants get exposed to lots of things really fast. It's not just about the baby's ears being covered. And people are using extremes to justify her being at the concert with a baby. At least she ain't leaving the baby at home. At least she ain't doing this. No, that's an extreme. What you're trying to justify? At least she ain't leaving the baby in the car nowhere. No, you're trying to justify. She's not supposed to leave a baby in the car. She'll go to jail. So the thing to do would be like, you know what? I can't go to the Chris Brown concert tonight because I got my baby. Unless Chris Brown is a friend of yours or something, gonna have you backstage or some little space or something to keep you back. Other than being out there, that's not a good thing. I don't think that was a good thing at all. I don't think that was a good thing at all. And to justify it, y'all scaring me. Okay. Somebody said, y'all realize babies at the Super Bowl are the loudest event in all sports. Infants go to babies, go hunting, babies ride loud car. Yeah. Super Bowl too, I would say that yes, they do bring babies. A lot of times those events are outside and stuff like that. It's a more family-oriented atmosphere too. But I still would say be careful in those atmospheres because there's a lot of people. But this is also an event. Chris Brown is a baby's too young. Even you think your baby is not, the energies around it are not attaching to it. This is that concert is very sexual. I mean, he says a lot of sexual things. It's not a baby concert. And that's another thing. It's so hard to even tell y'all that. And there's so many young people on here trying to make an excuse. You know, if you aren't a mom who's going through postpartum, no, that has nothing to do with it. She needed a break. Then you better find somebody to pay. Years ago, people, that's why you guys don't think there's any consequences to having these children now. You don't take responsibility and you try to excuse going out and doing all kind of crazy. Well, see, what if I have postpartum? What if I this and that? Yes, we respect that postpartum. Then talk to somebody, save you up some money, make sure you can get somebody to babysit. But there is no excuse when you decide to parent, either give them up for adoption or somebody else can take care of them. Or be wise. This is not only just the venue and a lot of people being around it and having noise canceling thing, but there's also a lot of energies going around that concert that is not suitable for a baby. No excuse. When you become a parent, you got to be fucking responsible. I don't know what's wrong with people. They think that their needs, suddenly you make a huge decision to bring another child in the world and a child in the world, and you think that you're entitled to be the same as you were post baby. Yes, your needs do come first in terms of how you treat yourself and everything, because you got to raise somebody else. But that's also but you also have to understand there is a responsibility now for you because you're a parent. Everybody, it's a lot of people on here making excuses for this. The baby with his mama, and that's all that matters. There's the baby healthy, ain't nothing bad happen. It's not that. You don't know what spiritually happened though. There's a lot going on at that concert for a baby. I don't like that. Not gonna hold you. Not gonna hold you. Can't stop life. Baby can pull up too. This is no concert. Nobody feels like they have to have any I can still go to the Chris Brown concert. And so the next time that there's not a impact on you of having a child. And I'm for people going out and everything like that. Just, you got to understand y'all, what are you taking your baby in the atmosphere? What's they hearing? He talking about sucking it and licking it and coochie. He talking about a whole lot of stuff. And it's really all advanced. Even my 3-month don't know nothing, but it's all kind of energies and spirits. And, child. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna let y'all young people, y'all think y'all know it all. Okay. So go ahead, do y'all, and y'all very entitled. Like this woman, like I said, why would you want $100,000 wedding when you got 2 infants to take care of? When you didn't make the decisions, here's what's going on. Some of y'all out there, and I think what's going on, like Instagram and all these things have made a lot of people delusional. There are some people who have paid a price for being able to go to concerts, being able to do this, have $100,000 wedding, do all these wonderful things because they said, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay the price that it takes to be successful, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times people who are at a different stage in their life will be looking at somebody who's at another stage in their life. And you'll be sitting there like, well, how does you got 5, you a single mama, you got 5 babies under the age of 10. And you like, well, you know what? This single girl I know go to the concerts all the time. I'm gonna go to the concert too. No, you got 5 babies. You might can pick a concert or pick a couple of concerts to go to as long as you got a good babysitter and stuff, but you're not gonna be her. She ain't had no babies. She ain't make those choices. That don't mean you can't enjoy yourself from time to time. It just means that you got a different set of responsibilities. You're not entitled to a lifestyle that comes with that somebody else has because of the choices they make. That's the problem. Y'all think y'all all entitled to the same things. No, there are consequences for the shit you do. You can't just keep. I had a friend recently. She told me when her daughter was like mad because they wouldn't take care of her kid. I said, what? She said, girl, I told her I ain't taking care of no baby. Mad, entitled. She said, I ain't had no baby. You did. Well, why can't you help me out and raise it? What? Because that's your baby. And she was asking me because I was raised by my grandparents. She's like, how do you feel? I said, listen, I was very blessed. I said, but that took a lot out of my grandparents. I said, and one of the things my grandma made sure she told me as I was growing up, she's like, let me tell you something. She's a trip now. She probably hear this and be cracking up. Listen, she used to tell me when I first started dating Lil, I was really dating. So she said, let me explain something to you real quick. You got it nice. We get you nice clothes. You get to go to different, you get to go to prom, you get to go this way, you get to go there, you get to go out with your friends. This is how she was talking. You got it going, girl, you got it good. Now, I'll tell you right now, don't mess it up having no babies. Because listen, I already took care of somebody else's child. I ain't take care of nobody else's kids. Not no more. I'm not doing it no more. So I'm letting you know that if you try to make that decision, listen here, sis, you're gonna be losing all this stuff. You ain't gonna have you're gonna have to give it up for a baby. You're gonna have to give it up for this. Because I ain't doing it. Maybe you can find somebody else to do it, but I'm not doing it. So you need to think long and hard about whether or not you wanna go down that road. Because I'm telling you, all your stuff is gonna be gone faster than you think. You go because you're gonna be a mother and you will have to take care of kids. So I suggest you enjoy being a kid. You enjoy this time in high school. And if you're gonna go out there, make sure you take responsibility. Because I'm just not gonna do it no more. And I believed her. I knew she was serious. And I was like, she right, shit, I do got to go on. I got a lot to risk here. I ain't trying to have no babies. I want to go to the show, concert. When I want to. I want to go see my favorite rap artist when I want to. I don't want to be spending no money on the diapers. I saw some of my friends and they struggles and stuff as teenage moms. I said, my grandma like, you don't want that smoke? She was right. The hell, I didn't want the smoke. Grandma, you right. But now these kids today don't think they will put their babies and stuff in harm's way just to be entitled to do things that they think they should be doing. They don't want to take no consequences. You don't want to have no consequences for a choice you made. So you in denial of the consequences that come. You in denial of the fact that now that you're a parent, you got to pay somebody to watch the baby. And if you was going to go to Chris, let me just say this, okay? If you're going to go to the Chris Brown concert like that and stuff, first of all, I don't think you should be there because there's a number of things. There's, lots of things going on for an infant that's that little health-wise. Second, headphones are not enough. Then second, it's a very grown-up concert. It's a very adult energy and atmosphere. Lots of things happening there. Lots of energies running around there. And listen, babies are susceptible to spirits. You don't believe that, okay? But if you're going to do something like that, don't go in the middle of the floor. Go up in the stands where you can have a little bit more privacy, a nice seat or something like that, and you can enjoy the show without, without bringing a lot of attention to you. But I don't think you should be there anyway. But if you're going to do that, at least have some, should I say shame? And y'all okay in this? No, it's not okay. That means that you saying, well, it could have been worse. No, it shouldn't have been worse because you're a parent now. That's like saying, well, if you don't let me go to the Chris Brown concert, I'm just kill this baby. What kind of sense that makes? I'm gonna just leave the baby in the car if you won't let me go to Chris. That's irresponsible and entitled. Y'all saying that here, at least she didn't leave it in no car. At least she didn't do this. At least she didn't do that. All the worst things that can happen. She ain't supposed to do that. She a parent. It's responsibilities that come with being a parent. Fuck y'all got going on around here. That's why I love when they say Cicely Tyson. I remember when they talked to Cicely Tyson one day. One of my favorite interviews with Cicely Tyson. And they asked her why she never had children. And Cicely said, one of the most wisest things I ever heard. She said, I love children. I think she said, but I always was of the thought that, what she say, don't bring them this way if you can't make it worth it for them. I was like, oh, wow. If you're not going to invest in them, if you're not going to give them a good, if you're not going to understand, I'm not saying give up all of who you are, but I'm saying if you're not going to understand that having a child impacts you, it changes your life. And how is it supposed? It comes with responsibilities. It comes with different things. Why y'all think you entitled to a thing that a girl who's 20 years old and single, ain't got no kids, is entitled to? When you decided at 20 years old, I'm not saying this is that girl in the audience, but you gonna have a baby, and you think you gonna have a baby, and you done had 3 of them. And you like, man, it's hard to get babysitters. It's hard to come by babysitters. Yeah, it is. You have to give up something. Yeah, I'm not saying you can't go to a Chris Brown concert. I'm saying that you might not can't go to one because right away because you got to find a babysitter. Unlike that girl who 20 and decided not to have no kids, don't gotta find no babysitter. She can just go off to the damn Chris Brown concert and mind her fucking business. She ain't got nobody to look after, but you got somebody to look after. Oh God, I can't. I ain't gotta just let me stop. Oh Lord have me. Okay. Babies at the Chris Brown, at the Breezy Bowl. Okay. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Help me, Lord. Give me strength. Okay, we're gonna take a little break and I'm gonna come back and we'll talk more hot topics. I just need y'all to start thinking here, okay? Be back in a moment. All right, you guys, we are back on the Carlisle Chatwood Show. Okay, so we were talking about consequences and everything. Okay, speaking of that, Cardi B, we're gonna go. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj are out here apparently fighting for I don't know why, but this is from Yahoo.com. It says, "Baby, the girls are at it again. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj have bought their long-ending beef off tape and direct to X, lending the timeline just a type of gritty hip hop drama that has everyone gagging." Okay, um, says Cardi's platinum wins meets Nicki Eagle Shade. I'll begin when Cardi B publicly announced that her second studio album, Am I the Drama, went 2 times platinum. Sus shared the RIAA recognition and then dropped another bomb. The Little Miss Drama tour is happening. TD Coliseum, big wins, big shows. Nicki Minaj, however, came through with a mysterious flex of her own, a photo of an eagle in flight with its arms outstretched. Now, why is that shadiest? The shadiest, okay? Because Cardi's "I Am the Drama" cover art shows her wearing heels and a crow sitting on top of them. The Barbs interpret the eagle has big bird energy that's going to come for Cardi's crow, and the internet lost its mind speculating. Penguins, rehabs, jabs, and flat out clownery. While others might have ended it with the eagle, Nicki uploaded uh, fan photos and then released a random image of 3 cartoon penguins wearing a zombie-esque expression. Cardi did not look impressed. She planted the fuse with tweets such as, "The power I have, make these bitches come out of rehab every time. Go to your fucking room, cocaine Barbie." Nicki fired back with a rap about surgeries and Rico beefs. And Cardi kept it going with face-to-face name dropping. Baby, this ain't no sneak dissing. This is a no holds barred drag session in 4K. Oh God! Then it really got unserious. Both women erupted, clowning each other in alphabet rhymes. Okay. First of all, Nicki, why are you on here? Nicki, this is my problem with always have been with Nicki Minaj. Nicki is super talented, but you don't want it seems like you don't want any other female in the space. This I'm a Cardi is, it's like certain Cardi is one of those things that she's not a great, to me, in my personal opinion, she's not a rapper, not as good a rapper like as Nicki. But Cardi has one-liners, and that's all you have to have today. Like I mean, her lines that come in a song and her personality sells her. It's a different time, Nicki. You can't be. I don't know. It feels like when you come out and do stuff like that, you're being. I don't think you have a reason to, but you feel like you're being jealous. I think it's just strange for a Sag. I don't know what's going on there. It just why do y'all have to argue? Why can't it just be congratulations and move on? And then you drop your stuff. But again, that I guess that's the rap beef thing. I guess I don't know. I don't know. Okay, and Cardi's been out here. I mean, just doing everything to make that album sell. Okay, interesting though. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move on from that because I just think that's crazy. Why are y'all arguing? Okay. Okay, so this I thought was interesting too with Cardi B this week. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up for you guys to see. This article from hotnewhiphop.com. Do I have it on here? Okay, hold on, you guys. Okay. It says Cardi B asked her mom for a special prayer to warn off dark energy around her. Okay. Cardi B's Am I the Drama includes guest appearances by Selena Gomez, Lotto, Janet Jackson, and Megan Thee Stallion. At her Long Beach meet and greet for Am I the Drama, Cardi B opened up about the emotional weight of her pregnancy, revealing how negativity and dark energy from others have shaped her mindset. The Bronx rapper who was signing vinyl copies for her new album said she recently turned her mother for spiritual protection. I called my mom the other day to pray over me and my baby, Cardi said in the clip shared on social media, because I feel like a lot of weirdness has been coming out from people and women and all this stuff ever since I announced I was pregnant. Okay. Let me let y'all hear what she's saying, okay?
A lot of weirdness has been coming out from people and women and all this stuff ever since I announced that I was pregnant. And it's funny because I know that y'all knew that I was pregnant because clearly everybody kind of figured that I was. But the negativity and the weirdness that people are bringing and putting, I told my mom like, please pray for me and for the Lord to cover me. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I got my Babalaos and everything, and of course, people pray for me all the time. But like, there's nothing like a. I personally believe nothing is nothing is as powerful as a mother's prayer. So I tell her to pray for me and pray for my baby because I feel like it's just like a lot of dark energy. And like when I say a lot of dark energy, there's a lot of weird bitches that like will wish you weird shit on your kid, like stillbirth, death, slowness. You know what I'm saying? So and I feel like people and I feel that energy. I feel that. I feel people putting that on me. I don't know, is this jealousy? I don't know what it is. It is what it is. I'm pregnant, baby. I can't get rid of it no more. Too far gone. So I don't know. I just feel it because it's just like it's just yeah, my fans know it though. Like there's just been a lot of like tension, and it's like, damn, the drama, the drama, and I've been pregnant a whole bunch of time, motherfuckers. I just feel like it's just too much negativity. But yeah, I ain't fucking with my mom prayer. Because one thing about my mom, she's like an angel on earth. So God do listen to my prayer, but like, I'm not like the most angelic person. Because I will tell you to dig somebody up if you piss me off.
Cardi. And I only say this, I don't know, Cardi B. I only say this for the people, young people, to talk to young people that using her as an example. Cardi has lots of money. Not that money helps rectify some of these situations because it doesn't, but it makes her a lot less susceptible to certain consequences. Okay. Cardi, you're talking about negativity. And you're talking about other people talking negativity on your baby, which I believe is true. People can do that and everything like that. But you have brought your child into a negative space. And listen, the baby's here. But what I'm saying is clear the space. You're not recognizing your own negativity. You're still married. The other man that allegedly you having this baby with, he looked like he got about 4-5 other ones coming. Those are negative energies and atmosphere because you got other women to contend with who are all having children too and may not like you also. So this is the atmosphere in which you've chosen to bring a child in, not just what people are saying about you. It's the atmosphere. We got to take some responsibility. And no, sometimes people can't pray you out of it. Yes, we want people to pray for the baby and pray for you to get healthy, but sometimes God is requiring you to grow the fuck up. I'm telling you, I think because y'all got these people got money and everything like that. This is requires them to act crazy, and they're not entitled. Well, I got the money, bitches. I got more money than you. Stuff like that. Not if you ain't doing. Not if you bringing your kids in a constantly crazy energy. And no, she can't do nothing about it now. You pregnant? That's a big babies are a blessing. But let the baby teach you some responsibility. Let the baby say, hey, I didn't bring. Hey, listen, y'all. Hey, you don't get in there and talk about what the women out here are saying about you, and that's negative energy. No, maybe you should get on there and say, you know what? I haven't exactly done the best. me, hey, I was having a good time, me and him, and everything. But maybe it wasn't smart that I wasn't using protection. It wasn't, but there are consequences I have to deal with because she's making it what you're seeing. You're not seeing that whole picture. Because what she's making you girls think that it's easy to do what she's doing right now and be pregnant. It's not, you don't see probably all everything. She's earlier. It's a consequence to that. There will be a consequence to it. And that's why she asking for prayers and that's not nobody speaking over you. It's just that consequence happen because you can't. You can promote, but she has a certain type of energy that she's promoting and singing and rapping. So you got to do all of that in the midst of having a child. And nobody brought that negative energy. That's you walking into negative energy. Hey, yeah, it's not the best energy, but y'all pray for me that it get better, that I make more wise decisions, that I be smarter. Not about these women out here that you be smarter. Or what they got to say about your baby. You bringing in another human. Yes, you've been pregnant. You bringing in another whole human being. So you should understand the consequences of parenting. Not consequences, the responsibility of parenting. I come on here to say this for young. Cardi gonna do her thing, she do, but I'm saying for young girls out here who look at this and think, well, see, look, Cardi B's out here, she doing her thing, and she didn't have to. No, Cardi B is gonna pay a price. There's a price for all of that. Yeah, her album went platinum and stuff like that, but you ain't seeing all the other stuff that go underneath all that. You ain't seeing what's going on underneath the wave. That's why she out here asking for her mama prayer, because she feeling energy, negativity from the situations that she in. Think. It's okay to think. And it's okay to avoid consequences like these. Or avoid where you got to ask pray, I just say me a prayer. And sometimes people praying for you, and the baby's going to be blessed, but sometimes you have to go through some experience to help you to bring you to a point of understanding. The negativity, Cardi, let me tell you something. She said something like baby being slow and all this stuff, or this and that, this and that. And we want you to have a healthy baby and stuff like that. But a lot of times when people do have autistic children or things like that, people say that they have taught them patience. They have taught them so many things to slow down their life. I'm not saying, I'm not wishing that on anybody, but because it's a tough road to go. But those children are still a blessing too. But it's a tough. But a lot of times when things like that happen, not all the time, sometimes people need a different focus. You're all over the place. And the one person that can bring, so you want your mama, let me hear this. Let me do this and this, what you want to go happen here. You want your mama to pray for you and your baby, but you still, well, see, because I don't know, God, I think God hear me, but I still want to do that. No. Your prayer is for you. What are you going to do to protect your child? What changes are you going to make to protect your child instead of pretending out here trying to pretend that you ain't pregnant? I mean, you pregnant, but trying to show the world, like, I still can get this done. I still can run around here and do this. I still can twerk. I still can do this. And you got nerves enough to be talking about negative influence from other people? What about the negative energy that you bring? And I know everybody, we like Cardi. We laugh at her. We think she's cute and all this stuff. But some of it ain't cute when you got a baby. Your mama now, this is the fourth or fifth one. And it's coming, this baby is coming in some crazy circumstances. Cardi, you got to admit it's some crazy circumstances. Not only are you famous and everybody know you're seeing your business play out in the public, but you having a baby and you haven't going through a contentious divorce, it looks like. And you gotta look like another baby daddy, look like he's got the same man. just want to play football. And you not seeing the negative situation. It's funny. That's why I always laughing with her. She said her album say, "Am I the drama?" Yes, you are. And you might be the negative energy. So how are you going to minimize that energy? The negative energy you bring, not just the fan, not just the people out here talking about you, but how are you going to minimize the energy you bring? And that's why I say for y'all, we ain't talking about, I'm using Cardi as an example, but for you guys, and she get this, hey, that's what help, hopefully it helps. But for those of you out here who are going through that, sometimes you got to look at the activities that you participate in. You can't just ask people, I'm just saying, you pray for me, because especially people ain't going to pray for you if you're going to still continue to be doing craziness. People can cover you in prayer all day, but the prayer is mostly for you to change your mind and be more protective of your child's energy. You got to be more protective. You done got pregnant. Listen, it's she trying to act like it's a consequence for getting pregnant with that baby. Yeah, your back album went double platinum and stuff like that. But what is the price that you done pay? You out here scared of negative energy because you've been running around trying to promote this album, trying to prove that because they like you done got pregnant again. And that's a good thing that she's out here promoting. You can promote an album and stuff while you're pregnant. The thing is that you have a lot of crazy circumstances going on, and you talking about other people's negativity. That's what you can't let people. People can pray for you all day, but not if you're gonna stay negative. Hey, you know what? Oh wow, yeah, I got this man's baby and stuff like that, but he got 4 or 5 on the way. I may have to be realistic with that. In some of these interviews, I may have to get out the Lulu. I may have to protect my baby a little bit more because, hey, I done entered the fray of a situation that is wild. And I got myself in a situation that's wild. And I got to be honest with that because that's how I protect my energy, by being honest and understanding where I'm at and what I done got into, not asking other people to give prayers for me that where I'm not going to do anything to change my energy. Some people used to ask me, could you pray for me? I'd be like, I have one person, one of my relatives who used to always ask me to pray for them, but they was always getting themselves into some crazy stuff. And I'm like, you know what? No. And she's like, why would you pray for me? I said, you know what? I said, because you starting to make it a habit. I said, at this point, I'm praying for your mind to change. Not your circumstances, your mind to change, because you are taking for granted. You just want, that's a habit for you, but you thinking that my prayers is just the only thing gonna protect you, or somebody's prayers, all of us praying for you and so just gonna protect you, but you not doing anything. God give you grace for so long. Child, I know grace and mercy. Let me tell you about that. Lord, I can tell you about that all day. But eventually, them prayers gotta start saying, you gotta start working on you. You can't just be being covered under somebody's prayer and still being a fool. Now that the prayer ain't gonna work, I'm wasting my breath. If you gonna keep getting into crazy circumstances, I'm wasting my breath. If you ain't gonna grow up and grab some sort of protection for yourself. God protects, like people say, God protects baby and fools, but God protects babies till they mature. God protects you, most people, all of us, when we're being immature and stuff like that. But there are times also, there's a part in the Bible, and I talk about this where God says sometimes He disciplines us, and it's the parent who disciplined us. That it's the way God shows us His love. If He wasn't a disciplinary, He wouldn't love us. So sometimes you got to feel that weight, baby. I'm not saying your kids should be so, I'm not saying none of that, but I'm saying that you got to feel the weight of your consequences so that you can protect yourself better next time. and protect yourself better this time. I mean, come on, I just wanted to say that. I saw that. I found that very interesting. She be trying to talk about y'all negativity when I but the first place you got to deal with is your negativity. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. Okay. And God will give you grace. God gives people grace so long. I mean, I've been under grace. A child still under grace. Some things I just be done on. God be like, listen here, listen. I'm trying to keep you get you to get it. Okay, so sometimes you got that for for me, but you have to also protect yourself. All right, so let's go on to the next story, y'all, that I want to talk to y'all about here. Um, okay, this was an interesting thing. Pulling it up, yeah. Okay, so there was an on-air personality BR that says transactional whores that beg for everything at the beginning of meeting each other is ruining it for regular women that have their own motions and not a needy broke woman. There's nothing I need from a man in the first 60 to 90 days. Okay, so let's listen to her. Because I want you guys to hear two different things here.
Men are so on guard right now. Like, what do you need my money? What do you want? Because I don't, because women, transactional whores. Will y'all slow down for a second? Y'all got these men scared to date. We don't want your money. If a woman is asking you for money in the first 60 to 90 days, she doesn't like you. There is nothing I need from a man in the first 60 to 90 days of meeting him. Not my hair, my nails, my car note, my rent, my mortgage. Who has been paying that shit? Sir, don't be the damn fool, please. But y'all women, y'all transactional whores are making it very hard for the regular women because y'all just out here just begging. So then when a woman just meet a man and she cool, he's so defensive and oh my God, what do you want? No, please don't take my money. Get grown. If a woman is asking you to pay up front, she doesn't like you. If a woman is asking you to spend all this unnecessary money, fly me here, buy me this, I want to hear fucking it up for the regular women. Can y'all stop asking these men for money within the first 60 to 90 days for no reason?
Okay, let me just say this, young lady. First of all, the first women who are getting flown out, flown here, there, that stuff like that. Usually, regular women aren't dating those men that they date. Okay, that's a whole nother ball game. It's a whole nother. You gotta understand where your lanes are. You know what I'm saying? No. I'm not trying to be mean to her. It's just that there is a lane. There are women that live a lifestyle that date certain types of men. We're very wealthy men, that can afford that lifestyle and things like that. It's just like when men pick women, don't pick women women can be unaffordable. Okay. You got to pick women in your lane. Why you're complaining about calling people transactional whores and stuff like that? I think every situation is different. No, I don't think most women are asking for money in the first 60 to 90 days or something like that. Crazy. But the men you date, if you have a men coming to you that are afraid, you shouldn't have to explain. That's their experience. So you shouldn't have to be that. You need to find somebody who's not traumatized by other things that they've been through, so you can find healthy relationships. There's no need to come out here and tell women, because all women are not transactional hoes. And the women that you're talking about who get those fly me here, fly me there, they're probably not in the same league and not trying to be mean as you. They're probably dealing with a whole nother group of men who don't mind doing that. Okay. I'm not saying that's good, not or bad. I'm just saying what it is. Like, if you happen to be dating somebody who got money, Dating Jeff Bezos, he's married now, but dating Jeff Bezos is a different experience than dating Charlie down the street. It's a different experience. And so there are certain groups of women who date the Jeff Bezos types. And their expectations in the dating world are different from yours, who are working maybe 9 to 5 and don't mind, hey, going out to dinner and having a night. There's nothing wrong with that either. So I would say that I say that you do have some women that are in the category that she's probably talking about, who are what I call bottom feeders, who are, who are trying to go for certain type of money. But if the man, if you're doing that there's no sense in you coming to me complaining if I'm not doing that with you. I don't have to get on here and say nothing about these people being transactional hoes. That's a situation you created. They're not the reason your dates are not working out. And I'm not saying women should be asking for money the first week, but I'm saying that is not the reason your date is not working out. You know, I say, hey, ladies, we need to be careful, but say, these men out here scared. You can't even date me. You're making it bad for the rest of the women. No, they're not. That's the kind of energy you're participating in. If you're getting men that are afraid and this and that, that got something else going on, sis. That is not those women making it bad. I'm just saying you don't want those type of men. I used to think that, oh, you making it bad. And sometimes women do make it too easy, make it too this and that. And they make it bad for certain types of men. But that's not your problem. That's healing that the men need to get over, okay? But I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that's the problem for you dating is other girls, okay? Other women and what they do, okay? That's just my personal opinion. Yeah. Okay. And men are often men and women often engage in serious sexual relationships before 60 and 90 days. So I don't know it's a lot going on out here with that. Okay. But now, in contrast to what this woman says, I want y'all to hear this other thing I saw on this lady's show today. And a lot of women are just trying to sometimes look more friendly to men or something like that, but we'll talk about that another time. Let me see. Let me find this other thing. Okay, this guy who says this is a big contrast. Now, I was watching this lady's show, and she was I want to give her some about her show, but she what's the name of the show? Cerebral Talks TV. Okay, she had this man's video on about talking about black men. Black man says black woman lack scarcity and give them coochie no matter what. So I'm using this from Cerebral Talks. I want to let y'all to hear this little part of it.
Creating scarcity and exclusivity, it's increasing the value of their product. So, and alternatively, like if you ever go into a buffet, or if you go into a restaurant and you get more condiments and napkins than you need, or if you go to a buffet and you get several plates of food and you don't finish them, it's because people don't really value what comes at a low cost, what's essentially free. So because you are always there to be an emotional battery pack, you're there to provide, to be a stand-in for the principles of protection, provision, and problem solving. You're there to take care of the kids. You're there to pay half the bills, if not the majority of the bills. You are there. And I think one of the biggest follies is that you are an endless supply of pussy. So the male incentive structure is such that he needs to be you know, in order to alchemize and transmute testosterone, men have to have a healthy level of competition and discipline. And that's why you see men concentrated into sports, into the military, because these are structures that help them sort of transmute that masculine energy, because if unchecked, it becomes toxic. So because he has unfettered access to you and unquestioned loyalty from you, he has no incentive to do better. So, and the thing about men is that they aren't inherently, you know, the divine masculinity is cultivated. It is not an inherent quality. You need to see it patterned and demonstrated by men that they respect. Men are pack animals. So your very availability has made him deficient, because no matter what he does, he'll always have a place to stay, and he'll always have access to your body and your womb. So you're not going to be able to implore him to do better as long as he has no incentive. And you also have to keep in mind that for Black men, the bar is so low that for some of us, like, we get celebrated just for finishing high school or finishing college. We don't, we're not honored for being present, you know, protectors and providers in the household. We get honored just for paying child support or just for even being in our children's lives. So, like, it's going to be very difficult for you to actualize this Black love fantasy. And what I'm saying is, you don't need to abandon all Black men. I'm just saying it's just not enough of us to hold that frequency of divine masculinity, so that you're either going to have to share a man that is not qualified for you, or you're going to have to be celibate. Open yourself up, right? And don't grade any man on a curve, let alone Black men. Hold men to a high standard, and go out there and make yourself available to all men, because it's really only until that happens that he's really going to have a true incentive to see what he's missing.
Baby.
Okay, and you guys can hear the rest of her talk, Cerebral Talks TV. Go to YouTube. She has a show on there, but I just wanted to play that little part of the Black man talking on there, and I don't know what his handle is. Let me see if she puts it in the description here. I don't know, but you can go to her page, and I think it's in there. You can see where his thing is. Let me just say this, okay? Completely right. This is. I have been thinking this myself. I think that what's going on is that we have we Black women, because of, especially Black American women, and you see this throughout. Oh my God. I was talking about this with Black celebrity men too. Like, we got a problem. Like, Black celebrity men cannot be right out rejecting Black women and doing all kind. But Black women will continue like that. What's that Black girl from Europe said? Black black women will go for the crap. We'll go for the crap because we're so used to protecting Black males, especially Black American women. Black American women, because of what we've been through. Black American, that our ancestors have been through, the journey in America for Black Americans. We will be very overprotective of our sons and stuff like that, and at times set the bar very low. I remember years ago, I think it was my grandfather, my aunt, my uncle and my grandfather told me, they talking about men work hard for why women, men want these cars and everything and all this stuff because they trying to do it for y'all. My grandfather used to tell me that, and my uncles, and then used to tell me, hey, my great uncles, they used to say, don't not let them work hard. They do all this stuff because if you ain't got no standard for them, they're not gonna have no incentive to do better. And I remember one of my girlfriends was talking to one of our old friends who used to come by my house because we had been knowing each other since we was kids. And I always tell this story. I may have told the story on Blog Talk. I think I did, but he was in jail. He's been in jail for quite a while. And my friend was talking to him on the phone or whatever, and we were out to dinner, and he had called, and she said, guess who this is? And I hadn't seen him since he went to jail. He came by my house a couple of days before he went to jail. So I've told this story before on the show. And we were talking, and he said to me, he said, one thing about you, he said, can I tell you something? He said, Mr. Levi and Miss Ruby did not play that. He said, they loved us all. They let us come by and there because they've been knowing it, they've been knowing us since we was little. But they wasn't playing about you and the standards they have for you and who you would date. I said, wow. He said, we all knew. He said, she ain't going no dealer. She ain't going with no dealer. And I did actually go with a dealer. I didn't know he was a dealer. He actually had he actually was very hidden. What happened was that one of his this is sidebar, the only dealer I dated too, his grandmother, who I was good friends with, her daughter, her youngest daughter. And I had started dating because he was in college, everything smart, super smart, very gentleman, had it going on, did not give any, but the grandmother knew what he did for a living, right? He no signs of it. When I came to, she told me what he did. And she said, I'm telling you because I know your grandma and grandpa don't play. And I said, I immediately ended that because my grandma said, they ain't gonna be saying move over real quick so they can shoot you. So they can shoot him. They gonna shoot both of y'all. So like, my grandparents was not having it. They wouldn't have none of that shit. You ain't coming up. We may have been knowing you since you was little, and you might be a dealer now. We still embrace you. We tell you to do the right thing, but you ain't gonna date her. And they believe it was what and they my friend that was in jail told me we all never tried to talk to you because we knew we had a standard set that your grandparents played. They loved us and everything. You ain't got the standard. You can't mess with her because her grandparents ain't playing. No, they was not. They said, they was like, no, you ain't coming over here. Ain't nobody kicking nobody's ass. Ain't nobody fighting nobody. Ain't nobody doing it. And when I did have relationships that were toxic, they didn't last very long because I was like, my grandparents find out about this. They ain't gonna. My grandfather will shoot somebody. My uncles will. It won't be pretty. Okay, so I understood that you have to have a bar set for young men. A lot of you have lowered, a lot of Black women are lowering the bar too much. Maybe you should have a standard. Hey, maybe you got 7 baby mamas. That's a lot. Maybe you just need to focus on your baby mamas and pick one of them. I'm single. I ain't got no baby mamas. I'm single. I ain't got no baby. I don't want to know if I want to be a baby mama, but you got 7 already. You gonna try to make me a baby mama? No, I don't think I want that. See, when you shun that kind of behavior, then these men won't think they have a chance with you. They won't even think they have a shot. They know who they got a shot with. They know you even if he's wealthy. Like, how many kids you dividing the estate by? You got to, I'm with it. This Black man is telling you, you got to have a standard. And it's going to seem cold, but other groups of women got a standard. And when they don't, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something that's going to maybe controversial. But when other people don't have no standard, I've seen it in urban neighborhoods when a white woman or even white girls or something like that end up coming down and dating a dude that's just, it has nothing to do with race, but they just, done that lower, they done came into, and they end up being baby mamas too. You end up being such because your standards aren't lifted. And it doesn't matter if they white, Black, pink, purple, because there's some white women that don't got no standards either. But I'm just saying, Black people in America because our men have had such a hard time in society, has had a hard time in America, that we tend to be a lot more flexible in what we'll take and tolerate, but we should not. This man is saying, no, set the standard. The bar should be high because of what we've been through. The bar should be high because of who our ancestors were. No, man, you ain't supposed to be no breeder no more. We out of that time. We out of slavery. Why you still out here breeding, trying to creating future slave force? Maybe because a child, you ain't gonna be in a child's life, and then you helping the pipeline to jail. I mean, we gotta have stint. You can't be having relationships with these men and you ain't got no stint. I kind of, and this girl, the other girl, why I played him after the other girl is because to me, to me, she's calling people hoe transactions. I don't know if it's hoe transactions or not. I think women, what's going on right now is that the hypergamy movement for women is very hard for Black men. Not certain Black men. Certain Black men understand what it is. But it's not only the hypergamy, because listen, the fact that Black women haven't been understanding hypergamy, and I'm not just saying you are a hypergamist. I'm not saying that all the way, but I'm saying we're not understanding the roles of men and stuff like that, because in what happened to us during slavery, the woman it was safer for her to be head of the household, negotiate with white males and all that stuff like that. Because Black men, there was so much brutality against Black women and Black men, but especially Black males. And so there was a changing of the standard of our relationship, and the changing of the standard. You know, when Charlie Kirk and them would talk about 70% of Black women having single households and stuff like that, well, they were right on some points on that. That we needed to have accepted the standard of you in order to have children, you have to invest and be in a marriage. That's a very real thing. So I just don't know if we're setting our standards high enough. This man, he's really made me see that. And I've heard other people say that. My grandfather used to say that all the time. Say, you gotta set the standard a little bit high. And then, though, you would hear other messages from other people, because there's this message as being as Black women that we don't have. And Black women, like they're talking about us with Chris Brown. Like Chris Brown, literally, no offense, I'm 4 second. If you've gotten your life together and you've changed and you've really done the work. I went to Chris the Breezy Bowl or whatever. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was nice. But I can't help but to think, as I watched the audience and everything like this is a man who was accused, who really beat up a girl really bad. And all Black women did was try to make excuses for it. We all just tried to be in denial because what? Why? Even Puffy, you know what I'm saying? Like Puffy was doing the most. Now I'm for women taking responsibility too. Now, in Rihanna's case, Rihanna got beat black and blue, and the report said she didn't do nothing to deserve that. Same thing with Cassie and them, but my problem with Cassie and them, why I'm very different regarding Puffy and Cassie and all of them and stuff, and I'm still hard on Puffy, but the difference is because a lot of women will do things for a paycheck, will do things to be in these areas and stuff like that, and then when they don't want to do the work. So they trying to make it easier on themselves. They'll take black eyes and everything else and won't report somebody to police. But now you want to show up 20 some years later, get $20 million and everything. And you had a chance to put this man in jail about 15, 20 years ago. But you didn't want to do it because he was providing your lifestyle. So I got a problem. Now, I do believe women should accept responsibility for what they do, for the concept, for the things they put themselves in. Nobody deserves to beat up on you, but you don't got to stay. Staying 10 and 11 years makes no sense. When there are women who left in less time who have given up their lives, there's no excuse. But that's another story, okay? But you got to raise the standard. And a lot of times we in the Black community, we don't have no, we let these men let them treat any kind of way. They know Black women are a continual consumer. And the guy said, because you know what he said? He said, you're an endless supply of coochie. He said, pussy. He said, you're an endless supply. I said, coochie cat. You're an endless supply. You got the coochie cat shop open all the time. You ain't got no standards. You ain't got no standards. And you have babies with people who don't marry you. Babies are for me. I believe babies are for marriage, just for two parents. But for the shout out to all the single parents who do it. That's amazing. But I do believe that raising a child is for two people. That's some hard shit. Sometimes it's a village. It's really a village. Your that's why you supposed to have some grandparents and great-grandparents help you out. Listen, that's hard work. Why you women would give up your womb for a little bit of nothing? And then you got to fight them in court for child support and all kinds of shit. That's crazy, man. Maybe we have set the standard low. I don't know. It's very interesting what he said. He's saying open yourself up to all kind of men because we not might be very vibrationally a match. And it's also women raising these type of men too. Because you're raising sons by yourself and you're overly protective and stuff like that. Women, it's different when men are there. Healthy men, not any kind of men, healthy men. A lot of women raise their sons, not all women, but because of what they've been through, sometimes and because of growing up in an impoverished, racially targeted group, a lot of times a lot of women are raising their sons to be to treat other women as their father treated them, which is not good. Because they're used to a standard. They don't teach their sons how to be gentlemen. They don't teach their sons how to do this, how to do that, how to do, you know what I'm saying? Maybe there is something there that we have to have a discussion about as a community. Are we setting the bar too low for our men, even like with the celebrity men and everything? Is it too low? Will we just accept anything? Like I said, going to the Chris Brown concert, and he done beat this girl black and blue. And then there's been other problematic things with him. And then it's continuing problematic things. There isn't a change. Allegedly. I mean, that's what y'all saying out here. It's still people coming with stories of colorism and stuff like that. But our standards are so low. It's like, well, he's got a preference. It don't even matter. It's okay. It's like women make excuses. Like they were making excuses for that baby being in the middle of the show. Like, it's okay. It's a baby. I don't know. Maybe our standards they're not great. I don't know. I'm really questioning. That has really made me think about that today. What are our standards? What will we accept? And maybe that is why we have such a large single household, because women are very important to society. What was that? I forget the play. I forget the name of the play where the men were going to war and the women decided to hold back. I forget the name of the play. The women decided to hold back sex from the men. And it's eventually stopped the war because men do everything, and men do a lot of things for women. and women protect. So women silently rule in a different way in your influence. So if you're not, influencing the best standards out of me, and I'm not talking about impossible standards, but the best standards requiring certain things. So listen, that's why I say this new crop of girls, even with Sprinkle, Raven, what's her name? Shraven, whatever. Even if I don't agree with everything she says, she is teaching women how to have a standard in some ways. So I think I like Chloe better. Chloe is teaching women to, for sure. I think that to have a standard. Chloe on YouTube, Chloe I think it's underscore Chloe or something like that. Definitely a more balanced standard to me. You know what I'm saying? But it's saying to women, hey, you can't. And a lot of people are getting angry at these women because they're saying, no, I'm not going to let you interfere in my life for nothing. There is a price to being with me, just like there's a price to being with you. Am I willing to pay the price or am I not? Can I pay the price? Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so yeah, I found that very interesting. Very, go check out her Cerebral TV. She talks about this whole thing, and I thought it was very interesting about Black women and our standards. And she said the name of her thing is Cerebral TV Talks TV, and the name of her show is "Oh My God, Black Men Says Black Women Lack Scarcity and Give Them Coochie No Matter How They Treat You." And that is just because of the stand. That is because of what racism, that's partly because, not all the way, but partly because of the energy this white supremacist society set up for Black Americans. And we bought into the lies of that thing. That's why I say with men like Charlie Kirk, talking about they didn't, even though they may have some things that they said were true or some things were not. But what I would say is first of all, I love when Charleston White said this week, they don't question their own people and their own white supremacy and stuff like that. They just want to talk about Black people. But they don't understand. When he said he lacked empathy and stuff, I said, well, that's crazy because you don't understand the society that racism has set up and continues to perpetuate throughout the Black community. And it's hard to overcome certain environments. Not saying that you can't, but it is. Without some help, without society having empathy and being empathetic towards the systems they have set in place that help destroy people's lives. So yeah, so very interesting there. Okay, but check her out. It's really, really a good show that she said. Okay, so let me go. We're getting almost to the end, y'all. We get to see what my next story is that I want to talk about. Okay, TK Kirkland, which is one of my, I don't always agree with TK, but I agree with a lot of stuff he says. I love going to see him and him do comedy. I watched him one night and it was a little young couple in front. I went to go see him at an improv place, and it's a little young couple, and he starts asking them questions. He said, well, y'all dating? And she's like, yeah, he said, how long y'all been dating? And they like 6 months or so, like that. He said, all right. He said, y'all having sex? I mean, everybody was laughing. He said, no, go ahead and answer. I got it. And the dude was like, yeah, and the girl was like, yeah, or something like that. He said, you like, y'all using condoms, right? And they both started. He said, y'all not using condoms? Then he just proceeded to teach them a lesson about how much babies cost and the consequences of how it can set your relationship $20,000 right off the bat. Oh my God. It was, I mean, I love a comedian who has a deep, even if I don't always agree, he has a deeper concept to bring. It's funny, but he's bringing them, he's not only just having these conversations, but with from a comedic standpoint, but there are deeper lessons to be in it. So that's one of the reasons that TK Kirkland, I really like him a lot. So let's take a listen. He's talking to young women this week, older women versus younger women. He says you're going. He's talking to this group, and I'm hoping I'm not playing behind. We're gonna have to. We y'all just have to ignore it. Hopefully that we don't get thing about flag for the music, but I want y'all to hear what he's saying to these young women because I thought this was very good. Okay.
You have children?
Yeah, my kids are older than you.
Okay, so how do you feel about older men that date women in their early 20s?
I think it's horrible.
Wait,
I do.
huh?
I really think it's disrespectful to themselves and to, especially if they have daughters themselves. And you date a young girl, 20-something years old, because nothing that is anything wrong with you. It's just that you don't have the experience to date a grown man.
Oh, no, I think it's weird.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's weird.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I think a girl in her 20s doesn't have the experience to run a home. A girl in her 20s can't help bring nothing to the table.
I have to disagree.
Well, I'm older than you, so I'm gonna hold this down. There's nothing you can tell me to change that.
But also at the same time, you could meet a woman that.
Okay, I think you guys are hearing it. Let me put it
she's
back.
been through more in her lifetime than a woman in her 40s.
So I'm glad you're bringing up this story, and I'm going to explain to you the difference.
Women in their early 20s.
I think it's horrible. I do. I really think it's disrespectful to themselves and to, especially if they have daughters themselves. And you date a young girl, 20-something years old, because nothing that is anything wrong with you. It's just that you don't have the experience to date a grown man.
Oh, no, I think it's weird.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's weird.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I think a girl in her 20s doesn't have the experience to run a home. A girl in her 20s can't help bring nothing to the table.
I have to disagree.
Well, I'm older than you, so I'm gonna hold this down. There's nothing you can tell me to change that.
But also at the same time, you could meet a woman that is in her 20s and she's been through more in her lifetime than a woman in her 40s.
So I'm glad you're bringing up this story, and I'm going to explain to you the difference. There's no substitute for experience. Even if you're 22, you still don't have the wisdom of a 40, 50-year-old person.
And what experience? You don't know their life. You don't know their life.
No. Experiences and wisdom is two different things. So let me ask you a question. But watch what I'm about to ask you, though, young lady. So you're 20-something years old. Do you believe that you'll be smarter when you're 40?
Absolutely.
That's my point. So
Yeah, I agree with TK in this. Here's the thing. There's a couple of things. One of the things is, yes, a woman can have an experience. You could be 20 years old and you could have experienced a lifetime of abuse or all kind of things. Whereas a woman who is 45 didn't experience all that and hasn't ever experienced all that, right? But I think that what TK is saying is that as you grow older, even women who haven't experienced maybe your experience, they have a perspective on things and wisdom because of growth that you don't even have after going through that experience. Like I had one girl tell me one time, she said, we were in class one time. I used to talk to her. We used to always go out to lunch and stuff together. And she said to me, she said, Miss Keisha, she said, she was trying to get married, 20, and her mom didn't want her to get married. She's 23 years old. I thought she was immature for marriage too. The dude was 26, 27. And she was like, but I've been through a lot in my 22 years. I said, what's a lot? I mean, I've experienced a lot. I said, yeah, you might have experienced a lot of things and that did create a certain amount of wisdom. But how you're going to see them in the next few years is going to be even more different. I think you should pull back, not get married right away. Take your time. And she had experienced more than I had ever had to deal with I didn't deal with that at 22, But what I understood about all the life that I had seen in different situations throughout life, I didn't have to experience that. I'd witnessed it firsthand and seen how it played out for somebody that's similar to her within those 10 years of making that mistake. And I knew what to give her, where she hasn't seen it play out. So I totally get it. And I love what he said about older men dating younger. Listen, guys, I'm gonna just tell you, and the girls too. I think it's kind of weird. I mean, when you but I understand, you know what? I understand when older men date younger. There are a lot of older men out here today dating 20-year-olds and they're 50 something and all that stuff. A lot of times, I'm gonna tell you something, young girls, most of the time, not all the time, okay? But a lot of times, a lot of these men are probably Peter Pans. They're probably immature. You know what I'm saying? Like me, Peter Pan was forever young. And there's nothing wrong with being forever youthful, but it's just that they're young acting. Like they can't get women their ages are not gonna put up with, like they're having a continual 20-year-old experience over and over and over and over and over and over again in their life. Not all of them. I'm not saying all men, okay? But I'm saying a lot of y'all. A lot of these men like to date you guys because they're going through they're not maturing. They're perpetually, because the 20s is where has become a time of growth and learning, trial and error in your youth, especially even more so for y'all. 20s have, in my personal opinion, 20s have become even younger than when it was when I was in my 20s. I was going through my 20s my teen years and my 20s in the crack era. I was like, by the time I hit 22, it felt like I was 32. Right? But that was a different time and a different era, right? I've been exposed to a lot different things, right? You are exposed to a lot more different things than me via the internet and stuff like that in that time, but we were exposed to some craziness, right? So, but I feel like today young people are much more younger. You have you weren't experienced like we were. Generation X had a very grown-up experience by the time they're 15 and 16. They're literally grown-ups in urban areas. Because of the crack era was so crazy. So they're experiencing a level of experience that other generations hadn't experienced. But by the time you guys come along, younger millennials, not the older ones, but the younger millennials come along, and Z's, you're allowed to be a kid again. You're allowed to be on your parents' insurance. So you're 26. Parents are a lot more protective. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not hard urban grittiness as much as it was and stuff like that. So your 20s have become even a younger version of yourself. And so a younger version of what we experience. 20s now are even more younger, okay? So you're going through younger experience. A lot of you guys are not even thinking about marriage in your 20s. You know what I'm saying? But there are men who prey on that, who are old and who love the young experience. They lack commitment. They lack it's not that they like, but they want to go through that experience over and over again. And where you can find that experience, that love experience, where it's continuously love bombing, is usually in the 20s. So when I see a man who is perpetually dating 20-year-olds and stuff like that, 20-some-year-olds, he's constantly going after them. And he doesn't date different ages and stuff like, but he's constantly, what you're probably seeing there is someone who is going through the cycle continuously of the 20-year-old, the youth cycle, the love, the cycle where he can have the energy of love bombing without any responsibility, without commitment and stuff like that. He can continue, because older women are not going to go through that with him. Because we've been there. We've been past that. We like, God, man. You coming with a continual, like just you being in love with love, and you ain't got but you don't got no stability. You don't know how to be, what partnership all entails. You can't mature in the partnership. Partnership for a lot, sometimes certain men in that age that are in their 50s and stuff dealing with a 20-some-year-old, their partner, their ideas of partnership and commitment haven't expanded outside of a teenager or a 20-year-old. They only are in it for the love, like the sex and the love. But when you start talking about real foundations, like when people are going through life and you're having to deal with real things, like you getting older, your parents getting older, family members and stuff, like different, maturing how a spouse has to be if you lose a parent, or if you this and that and this and they don't want to go through those times. They just want it to be a perpetual good time. So they tend to go for 20-some-year-olds because they can live perpetually in a good time. I don't want the heaviness. I want just the fun time. I remember I had this friend of a friend I knew, and I love telling y'all stories, but the man, she was in the middle of trying to choose between two men. And she said that what she had noticed was that the woman, he just was not, he didn't have it. He just did, she had great chemistry with him, great everything. It felt like he should be it. But she said he just could not go past, he could not mature. Love to him was an endless cycle of love bombing and and nothing going into past a series, and the nights of sex and fun, and it's always fun. And there's nothing wrong, like she said, it was nothing wrong with fun. She was saying she needed that as she was coming into her situation. But the other guy was much more mature and stuff like that. He understood, even though he wasn't as they didn't have the same chemistry, saying this and that. But she said he was smart, he was stability. Love wasn't to him just constant love bombing, love going through the cycle of a 20-year-old. And she said she knew it was off because, the dude was all he had dated really before her. He dated some older women, but mostly he dated younger women. And she said she should have looked at that from the beginning, because there was a reason he was doing that, because younger women, he can stay in the cycle with younger women and not have to go to those the commitments that you need as you get older. And oftentimes he would age chicks out. He was aging women out. Like she was saying, he had a person that he had been with for 10 to 15 years. And when she aged out, she started wanting some more mature, I want to be married. I want to have baby. I want to do this. I want to do it. He like, I can't, hey, this now is getting too deep. You was fun when you was a good time girl. I want to have fun. And you can still have those type of relationships where you have fun and you have this and that and all that stuff. But it's that relationship cycles change as you get older. And what the type of relationships you have in your 20s are not the type of relationships you have in your 50s or 40s. It becomes more important because you start to get settled in your careers. It doesn't mean life has to get boring and you can't have a sense of youthfulness and fun to your relationship. Okay. Don't nobody want no old time, boring relationship. I'm talking about when you can't mature, when it's all got to be a good time, when you don't know how to be there for somebody beyond a good time. Like New Edition say, can you stand the rain? Some of these men can't stand the rain. And so they're in these perpetual relationships where they more than likely don't have to deal with the other things that women in their 40s, the experience that women in their 40s and 50s have had, that requires them to be something different. They consider they can't go there. They're not mature enough. Okay. So often, girls, you have to watch for that. That is often sometimes why those guys are having relationships with younger girls because they're not very mature. And so you have to look at that. All right, this week y'all thought the rapture was coming, child. Let me just, somebody come on. When the rapture comes. Okay, so a lot of this preacher in Uganda told people it was going to be the rapture. Y'all got to read y'all Bible for yourself, because the Bible clearly says that no man knows the day nor the hour or the time that God's going to come back. Now, listen, Jesus coming back, but listen, y'all who don't know what the rapture is. The rapture is an event that a lot of Christians believe will happen, that the church, they have had a lot of movies about it on television and stuff like that. One of the biggest one is A Thief in the Night, right? And they redid those. They redid the Thief in the Night series, I think, the Tim LaHaye and stuff like that years ago. But it's people believe there's a biblical thing that happens. Some Christians believe it, some Christians don't. It means if you're post-tribulation or pre-tribulation or whatever. People always ask me what I believe. I believe if pre-tribulation. Okay, I do believe be a rapture. I believe that. I can believe that totally. If you're a biblical person, if that's what your Christianity faith leads towards, because the Bible clearly states an event like the rapture. Okay, but the event is that Paul even talks about it slightly in some of the. I think in Corinthians he said, Paul says, "I'll show you a mystery. We should not all sleep, but we should be changed in a moment of a twinkling of an eye." He said, meaning we should not all see death, but you'll be changed in a moment in a twinkling of an eye. I remember when I was a little girl, my grandpa had took me, I told this story before here, my grandpa had let me watch Thief in the Night. And then I had went to a church where they were showing it. I was about 6 or 7. I probably wasn't even that old. I was probably about 4 or 5. So we were going to my grandparents at the church at the time. My grandfather did not like this preacher who preached. And I remember I was little. I had to be probably about 4 when I first saw Thief in the Night. But I remembered what I saw, and because I was so frightened by it. I remember running in my grandparents' room every time. Get the rapture and get y'all. Thinking they had me with a rapture, right? So we in church, and my grandpa, he just thought, my grandma sitting up there listening to everything. And so the preacher said, "We all gonna die. We all gonna something." He's saying this. I can remember me looking at my papa, going, "Papa," hit my papa, and papa, he tried to ignore me because he listened to church. And grandma like, "Girl, shh." I was like, "Papa." He like, "Yeah, baby." I'm like, I said, "He lying." My grandma going, "Shh, girl, shut up." I said, how everybody gonna die? How everybody gonna die if the rapture coming? Who they gonna rapture? Boy, my grandpa was so tickled. He said, "You right." You right, baby. You smarter than him. So, boy, my grandpa was so tickled the whole time. Afterwards, my grandma was hot because every people in the back of us was laughing and stuff. But I knew, because I'm like, "Yo, who you gonna rapture? How you gonna? Everybody can't die if the rapture coming." You know what I'm saying? So I tell that story, but this is an event that happens in the Bible that people believe that before the world has to go through a tribulation phase to regain them back to Christ. Christians feel there's an event that Christians feel they will be ushered out of the earthly realm, and then the tribulation period, meaning the age of the Antichrist and of lots of tribulations and bad things happening in this world start to happen. It gets far worse. The Bible talks about a time where it is night for 6 months. Talking about people getting balls on their hands and foreheads because they've taken the mark of the beast. Oh my gosh. It is a scary moment. People dying because they didn't take the mark of the beast. It is a very powerful thing. And it's an event that Christians have talked about for centuries, even in the biblical days, in the early days of, they thought the rapture was coming. But certain things have to happen in order for the rapture to come. And the Bible is very clear about that in the book of Revelations, book of Daniel. Those are some of the clear, there's other books throughout the Bible, but clear things that talk about the rapture and what may happen. As a matter of fact, if you are a studier, or avid studier of the Bible, after I believe chapter 2 or chapter 3 in the Bible, first of all, that's the book of Revelations is a picture book. It's a picture book about the end times. Okay, so when you're reading the book of Revelations, it's also, you got to always remember it's a symbolic book also. It's not just a book of John. It's John's vision that was given to him right before, I think John, they were trying to kill John at that time or whatever. And John has all these visions that God give him about the end times. And you have to be well studied to understand the book of Revelations. The book of Revelations is a picture book as well as a historical book and a futuristic book. And Daniel also has a part of a lot of biblical about things about the end times also. But what you'll see in the book of Revelations is that after a certain chapter, I believe it's chapter 2 or chapter 3, there's first the letter. John sends out a letter to 12 churches. And each church, he's telling them something about themselves that they have to get themselves together because of the coming of Christ, right? And there's one church he calls the Church of Philadelphia, and they are clean, they are this and that. And the Church of Philadelphia is also talked about this event happening for them, that they won't go through the things that the rest of them will go through, right? This is his letter to the Christian church, right? The letters to the 12 churches that are at that time. So the book of people notice in the book of Revelation, the church is no longer mentioned, I think after chapter 2 or 3 in the book of Revelation, and it begins to start talking about the end times and the things that happen in the mid times. So that's another reason why people think the event of the rapture will take place. Okay. But here's the thing. This guy told people that there was going to be a rapture. Listen, you won't know the day, nor the time, nor the hour. Now somebody might guess, have a lucky guess, you know what I'm saying? But you ain't gonna know. God said, no man knows the day, nor the time, nor the hour. That's why there is, there in the Bible, they talk about this event a lot in symbolic terms. Like there's one term about the virgins, the 10 virgins, 5 had oil, 5 didn't, meaning they were all virgins, but some were, and when the master was returning home, some of them didn't have enough oil to, I forget what the oil meaning was, but they had to get, it's a reflection of Jesus coming back and you not being ready. Okay. So but it will be an element of surprise. Okay. So all these people yelling up at the sky, you obviously ain't read your Bible. Okay. All right. So y'all won't be getting food with shenanigans. Okay. Drinking the Kool-Aid like Jim Jones people. You gotta be careful of drinking the Kool-Aid. All right. Let's see, what's the next one story I want to say for y'all, because we almost at that point. Do I have one more story for y'all that I want to talk about? Where we at? We're almost there. Okay. Okay, I thought this was interesting. Okay. This Brooklyn Nets player, Michael Porter Jr., who signed a reported $200 million deal defense, making his ex split the rent. She needs to act right month to month. Wow. Okay. So take a listen at this, y'all. Okay. So let's see if we can listen to what happened here, what he's talking about.
$1 million deal and you were splitting rent with your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? The right decision. You worth $200 million. Her rent was probably $3,000, bro.
Okay, but
she's killing herself to make half, and then she always with you.
But look,
how is she even
making willing?
that
Okay. So basically, she's looking around. she's looking around for her apartments, and she came across one, but it was way out of her price range. It was like double what she could afford. So I was like, you know, this is really nice. I want you to be able to stay here. I want to be able to pull up and stay here. You know what I'm saying? Like, what can you afford? And I'll split it. I'll pay the rest. So
Right.
I ended up doing that. And I was like, yo, whatever happens. And I want the people's advice on this too, because I'm curious.
Yeah, I am the people.
Basically, bro, I said whatever happens in this relationship for the next year, I'm committed to paying this rent.
You're a year by year guy. You committed to the NBA year by year. You committed to your woman
because I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna be together. I don't know if this is my wife. I don't know if it's not. So I'm like, okay, for this next year, I got you. Whatever happens, we can break up. I got you for this next year. I'll split rent with you.
You can into it with the wrong mindset though.
I know, but brother, I don't know. I just didn't know. So then we end up breaking up 5-6 months into the rent. And basically that's where I'm at now, where I'm like, man, do I keep helping her out? Or is it cooked?
So have you paid your half of the rent? How does that work if you blocked on shit?
No, we were in a little bit of communication. She ended up hitting my phone asking for the bread.
Hell yeah, she gonna
keep which I don't blame her, because she went into that apartment not being able to afford it, and I gave her my word. So
why you just don't send her half for the rest of the year?
Because she need to act right month to month, nigga.
Oh
wow!
Yeah, I've been waiting for you to wake up this interview. There you go.
No, I'm just saying. So like, if I'm paying the remaining months, month to month,
yeah,
yeah.
No, let me just say something, okay, girls. This is why you do not get involved in situations like that. You make him, when he say, hey, I like this spot that you staying in. I want you to stay here. All right. Okay. So you need to sign a 2-year lease so I can stay here for 2 years regardless of you, and pay it up. If not, then don't play no house with him. I'm going to go pick up the apartment I can pick up. I can afford now. You can come by and still visit if you want. If you don't, that's your business. Okay. But if you ain't you ain't signing up this what it should be, don't play no games with these people. Look at you talking about you on a month-to-month basis and but he talked her into taking an apartment because of him. Listen, you are a single woman on your own trying to live. You say, hey, I can't play with you like that unless you're going to sign a 2-year lease or a year lease. No, I say 2 years because I ain't saying 2-year lease where you pay up this apartment if that's what you want me to do. So you can come by and visit. Even if we break up, I still paid up for 2 years since I'm making a very he's worth $200 million. I'm taking a big chance in moving into something I can't afford because because you want to be coming into this space. This is a space you feel more comfortable in. Well, you're going to have to pay for that space. Well, what if we don't stay together? It just is what it is. I can't be affording to move out real quick. This is what it's going to cost you, 2 years of time. Take it or not. If not, I'm going to go live where I need to live at. And maybe we don't date, or maybe we just see each other from time to time, have some dinners, talk it out. Be smart. It's okay to turn some money down. Especially if you get set in these kind of traps where the men trying to control you. Well, she needs to be on the act right month to month, baby. What? You're the one that got her to move there. Talking about you need to be someplace. Okay, well, you know what? I can't afford that. And I'm not going to be moving real fast if we break up. So here's my deal. If you want me to live in this apartment, that is a 2-year rental. No, I will not take anything less. Other than that, and this ain't your place. This is my place still. Even though you pay, thank you, but you're still paying the rent. But it's still my place. You got to set standards. I'm just doing this because you feel more comfortable in visiting here. But you ain't my husband. So you got to make sure he understands it. You ain't my husband. But if we in a committed relationship, we're dating and we're committing to each other to date, yes, you can come by here. But it's still my place. I need a 2-year lease and I need it in my name. I need you to pay it up. Other than that, there's a no deal. I keep my own place. I mind my own business. And I think it's easier when you do that, okay? Just my personal opinion. That was a tricky. I've been like, okay, nah, that's kind of tricky. Maybe we just come visit. I come to visit you at your place. If you can't come here, you know. So if it's something unsafe for you or something not in your league, okay. But you can't. Y'all gotta be girls. Y'all gotta use a lot more wisdom, okay, when it comes to these type of things. Really, seriously, very much so. You got to. All right, so I'm trying to think where we're at. You got one more story? I think that's it. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the show today. I hope you enjoyed my talk. Listen, I don't know when the next show is. I got some things to do. Pray for me. Yeah, I'm like Cardi B. Pray for me, y'all. Because I got a lot of stuff coming out. Pray for me. Okay, so with my that I continue to do well and all this stuff, and I'll pray for y'all. I pray y'all have a wonderful rest of your week and enjoy it, and stay in the moments. And you guys, I am out. I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? I know what I meant to talk about. People were asking me about the serenade, the silent serenade. Okay, I'm getting ready to watch. I got two full events of the silent serenade. One from Brooklyn and one from DC. Like 2 full events. I get to see it's 2 whole shows. I get to go to the show. I'm glad because I couldn't be no sugar mama. I was gonna go to Brooklyn, and then I said, nope, we ain't gonna do no sugar. You doing too much sugar mama. I'm not no sugar mama. I wasn't born to be no sugar mama. I'm doing too much sugar mama with Maxwell's ass. Okay. So I said, I'm not gonna go to Brooklyn show. And somebody sent me 2 full links to the show. Shout out to y'all. I can't afford it. Shit. I got a sugar mama out here. I'm already going on these cruises. I gave him that money for the cruise. Scrunching up my little money for this cruise. And Vegas, nah. The sugar mama train stops now. That's how the sugar mama and I'm getting. I got one friend who's a gold digger. She's like, bitch, I'll pay for that. I wouldn't pay. You ain't got nobody, I said, hey, I'm gonna have somebody. She said, I don't know, I ain't. She told me, she's like, how much your cruise? I ain't never paid for a cruise. I said, well, now you got it going on. That's nice of you. Nah, yeah, everybody pay for it for me. I'm like, well, shit. No, I'll pay for my own. Well, have a good time. She like, I got, I might try to go on that cruise. I might see if somebody can pay for it. That's how she think. I'm like, wow, amazing. I'm like, nah, I'm a sugar mama right now. I'm in the sugar. I'm getting me a jersey made to say sugar mama. For something like Urban Hainsworth or something like Maxwell there, 13. Sugar mama number 2. Because there's a lot of y'all sugar mamas. We paying for these concerts, these shows, no more. Okay. I said, I can't go to Brooklyn. Can't do it. But it looked really good. The little parts I've seen looked really good. I've only saw like 3 or 4 songs from the DC and 1 from Brooklyn. It looks really good. I saw the girl playing was that a violin? She was really good. It seems really good. The flowers. I like the whole. I like the whole aesthetic. I have to see the whole show. So I'm gonna watch the whole shows. Maybe today if I have time to see, and I'll tell y'all. I'll tell you next show what I thought. But it looked, from what I saw, it looked really good. Okay. And thank you for the full show clips. I'm gonna go watch it. Okay. Seems like it's gonna be really good. Okay. But yeah, I love too the entry, like how he entered in. I think it was one. I like the song choices. I heard a few songs. I heard pieces. Did he bring in Till the Cops Come Knocking again? Oh man, can you sing that like at the Vegas show, shit. I mean, I've been missing till the cops come knocking for a minute. And then did he sing what's that song? He sang an odd one from I'll Be, what's that song? I'll Be Watching or what? I was like, what? I mean, he had a lot of songs that he normally, he sang, well, he did Mellow Smooth. What it seemed like to me from the little stuff that I seen, it reminded me of the show back in 2000. Was it the night tour? Not the night tour. It was the other one before the night tour. What was that one? Pre-night? I mean, we be getting, Max over here. What is it? The pre-night, night? What is that? Pre-night tour? 2000. It was the 2017, 2018 show where he kind of had a lot of embryo. That's what this is reminding me of. It's reminding me a little bit of that mixed with the orchestra shows. Maxwell, I think you should do this. No, I don't want to start because I can't be chasing you around. I'm not going to these shows no more. I can't be doing cruises and shows. I was gonna say, I think you should let's do a tour of these small venues, these intimate venues with this kind of background. I love it. It feels so new school, not new, I can't say new school, new older Maxwell urban hang suite unpluggish. That sound like it feels very unpluggish, but in your mature years, not the unplugged from back in the day, MTV when, but very like for your mature years. I feel like it's very mature, like for this beautiful older guy. He's very beautiful, doesn't look old, but he's very handsome, and it felt very. It felt like the part two, like the part two of Unplug. 25 years later or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Loved it in that one from the little parts I've seen. Okay. I felt like it was like you had a vibe going. I thought that was so tough. And here's the thing about Maxwell. I do have a slight criticism. Okay. I told y'all I'm a Virgo moon, okay? My slight criticism of Maxwell. Maxwell is like a Chris Brown in some ways to me. When you just know, when you're just a good stage performer, sometimes you don't do all that you can do. Like it is, Maxwell could give y'all the bare minimum because he's so, can I just say, I'm not saying he gave the bare minimum in this looks like awesome. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that Maxwell can go there, like because he's his whole aesthetic, the whole presentation of Maxwell is it is very I don't know, can I say seductive? I don't know if it's seductive. It has some seductive elements to it, but it's very Maxwell has a mystery to him and everything that can cover a lot of things in his shows to me, where Maxwell can give you the girl playing Maxwell can give you a lot of unique energy. There it is. That's what I said. Unique energy, very unique. And please don't, this is just a slight criticism. I have to see the whole show, but it's just from the little parts I've seen, okay? He can give, and everybody be like, oh, it's so great. And listen, I'm not saying it's not great. I'm just saying that you are that great of a performer that you can do the bare minimum and people think it's great, like super great. Like it's, I don't know how to say this without where it stops sounding mean. Because I don't want to be mean, because I thought it looked awesome. But it feels, what is it? I don't know if that's him being a Gemini too. Prince, can I just say this about Prince? When we talk about Prince. Oh my God, I'm getting ready to say something that might not. Because I saw him have a picture of him and Prince. I don't know if that's AI or what the other day. Oh my God, I don't know if I should say this because I don't want to make it like I'm being like, this is really, I love the show. I loved it. It looked really good. I'm not saying, and I can't wait to see the whole thing. But here's always the feeling I get from Maxwell. I can't help it. And I get it a little bit from Chris too. You know what I'm saying? Chris is an awesome performer, and he can come out there and he can make everybody feel like they just seen the show. But I can feel when people don't, it feels, let me use an example. Janet Jackson, for instance. Let me use it back in the day. Not now, but back in the day. Janet, me sometime out here, I know I'm getting a check. But let me just say this. Back in the day, Janet used to give these awesome, like, All For You tour. Oh my God. I remember, every tour Janet had was great. All of them were great. Okay, the early ones, okay? But All For You tour? Oh my God, it felt so connected to Janet. Like, I felt that when I went to go see, like, when she come out, when she was, like, when she had the shingles, you want this? I'll be up in the front. Like, it was just, I felt like it was Janet. Like, Janet was telling us her story when she was on stage and she doing Black Cat. She's singing about the abuse she had. She be going through. Oh my God! And then when the carnival would show up on stage, and you be like, you felt like you was in a carnival. You was like, oh my God, this shit is awesome. Like, and you felt like she was giving her shit. Like, it was all her energy. Felt like I'm giving it everything. Okay, Janet, in those early years, was not giving us bare minimum. Even though Janet was highly talented and could probably get away. You know what? No. I'm gonna tell you something. Janet had to work real hard to dance like that and all that stuff. Because if you saw Janet earlier, she was not really a dancer and stuff like that. So she really, it's sort of like a Fantasia. Okay, yeah, I'm going there. Okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting what I'm trying to say here. And I could be absolutely wrong. So if I'm absolutely wrong, forgive me in what I'm about to say. I could be so wrong and not get it and ignore what I say. But it's like a Fantasia. Janet had to work real hard to get to this thing. So she would give it. She was so connected to the shows. It was like you could tell. Like, and at the end when she be everywhere I go, you felt it. Like the audience everybody was jumping up every step. Like, everybody like feel like crying. Like, oh my God, it just felt like it just like an experience. And it felt like she was very connected to it. You go see Fantasia, an experience, very connected to it. Very so connected to it. Jennifer Hudson, she can sing so well. Let me just use her for example. Sing so well. She often, I think, because her voice is so big, I usually call Jennifer Hudson a lazy singer because I say she don't have to do nothing. She come out, she just sing big. And she doesn't have to work as hard as Fantasia. And so you kind of get a lack of connection from some of her stuff. It's good. It's really good. But Jennifer can sing in her sleep. But it's like bare minimum. You like kind of like, you can see she just come out. She sometimes sings. And sometimes she's connected, but sometimes she's not, right? I'm going somewhere with this. Prince. Always connected. Oh my God, always connected. Most of the time, I never seen a Prince show where Prince wasn't connected. Like, it wasn't like you coming out there like, God dang, what I just experienced. Why I say all of this is because, okay, I'm going to say it. I think Max is so good at what he does, like Jennifer Hudson, that he don't have to give you the whole thing. I think the Hang Suite years, when I see Urban Suite Unplugged and I see all those old youthful performances of Maxwell, he was working motherfucking hard. He was new on the scene. He had to work his ass off. You know what I'm saying? It was just a different vibe. It was hungry. It was more hungry. Now I think Maxwell is into uniqueness and providing you new experiences, right? But I think what I am seeing, and I could be wrong, please, if I'm wrong, please forgive me. Okay, don't be mad at me. The shows look awesome. I'm not saying they're not awesome. I'm just giving my little Virgo moon criticism. I can't blame it on Virgo moon. It's just who I am, right? You know. Okay. What I will say, okay, and this is not to trigger anybody or anything like that, okay? If y'all give this to Maxwell, you get to Maxwell. I don't know if it is yes. You know what I'm saying? Here's what I'll say. It seems like it's heavy on the uniqueness. Heavy on being different. Heavy on being, and people gonna love it because Maxwell, like I said, he can effortlessly get out there because of his whole aesthetic. Not just, he has an aesthetic that he brings, a vibe that he brings. It's not just his voice and everything like that. It's a whole brand, a whole look, a whole energy and stuff like that, right? But I think sometimes he's too heavy on it. Like it's too heavy on giving you this weird experience, too heavy on giving you this, too heavy on giving you this. When that guy from years ago, that kid, the difference I saw, the connection was you were hungry and you had to do more, you had to give more. I feel that sometimes he lacks connection. That's just my personal opinion. That's I hate to say it. I know people gonna be pissed. I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like I feel like I am still seeing, when I saw the little parts of the Silent Serenade tour that I saw, oh my God. I think Maxwell does good at selling what I heard that girl say, selling desire and vulnerability at a point. I don't know and he can get away with it and most people will walk out there and be very accepting of it. But I actually think that there is such a guardedness to these shows, some of his shows, like all of his shows lately I have seen in the last maybe 10, 15, just such a guardedness to himself in these shows. That it feels like disconnection, even though you're doing really well, and it's the band is playing doom 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 doom. I saw that. That was cute. God, I feel like it's giving me heavy. Okay, it is almost what Dream. I don't want to trigger nobody. Or if I say this, it might be mean. People will be saying I'm not being a Maxwell fan. I'm not saying this. Oh my God, I'm trying to say this in the nicest way possible. Okay, I'm gonna watch the show. Maybe I should watch the show first. Maybe I should watch it. I'm just saying I've seen parts and pieces of it. And what I guess I want to really say is that, oh man, how can I say this, man? It's taking on my shoulder. Okay. Please don't take me to be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be wrong. Okay. Here's what I will say. That it's really not I remember years ago, and Maxwell, I don't know. I know people said Maxwell hated an article that was written about him years ago, that Dream Hampton, and it was a little bit back in the day, very unfair, a little bit of him. But I do believe Dream caught something, just a little something. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how I can say this with not seeming like I'm a big Maxwell fan. I'm just saying I'm not hating him. But she talked about Embria and which I love Embryo. Embryo is my favorite of Maxwell's um, albums. But I forget the exact words she used, and it's maybe it's not fair for me to really bring it up. What she said, there was something. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. I'm trying to figure out how to say it. I'm going to scratch the Dream Hampton part. Here's what I'll say. What I'll say is that I feel there is this heavy dose of being unique and being different. And but it's still very stiff. It still lacks of connection. It still lacks it's gonna lack connect. It's gonna be, I'm not saying oh, I don't know how to I don't know how to put it to it. I think that there is this it's like I had. There's this, I don't know if there's this perfectionism or something I feel about Maxwell. I don't know what it is. I've been watching it for a long time. I know it. I've seen it. Versus the urban hanks we get. I be seeing why y'all be seeing people clones. I think that what I am witnessing is somebody who's just become a lot more guarded over the years, and they brought it to the stage. And even though they give great performances, super duper performances, um, there is this lack of connection. Like there's something about it. Like where I'm like it's heavy on the aesthetic, heavy on the uniqueness, heavy on this and that. But or do you connect to it? Is that you? Is that who you are? I go back to the Dream Hampton article because I think she touched on something there. I think it was something that they said he got upset about it, but I really believe, and she apologized for that article later on, but I really believe she caught something. And not in a mean way. Yes, some of it was bad, not right, but there is this idea, this thing, I think, about Maxwell and an insecurity that is constantly with Maxwell that he does not need. Here's the thing. Sometimes people don't see how great they are. You know what I'm saying? I always say he's the king of the underground. I'm like, God, I remember once I was listening, I saw him. I mean, he was saying something on one of his pages and he says, I'm a peasant. I'm like, yo, what? The dude who gave us Urban Hang Suite is a peasant? I don't think so. I think there it is, lies this thing that am I really good enough? Am I good enough to show you who I am? Even as big as a star he is, like huge as he's become. I just feel like there's something else there. There is something else there. We're not getting it. I don't know what it is. But I feel like Dream touched on something many years ago with that article. I have to find that article and read it again. But she touched on something she said in that article, and I've never forgotten it about him because I see it often about him. Because I'm a big Maxwell fan, and so I go to his shows a lot, and I see that thing. It's I can't explain it. It's not that the band isn't good. It isn't that this and that. There is this thing about him. It's such a guarded space. But then there are times that Maxwell doesn't. There was that guy in the early part of the 2000s, Pretty Wings guy, very connected, but more seductive. I don't know. It might be a Gemini thing, but it's still that slight thing going through it. I can't explain it. I could explain it, but I'm being shy about it. But that's what I felt. I felt like it was heavy on the vibe, the look, and everything. But again, I felt like Maxwell that these are songs you can do in your sleep. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna keep it. I'll keep the rest to myself. I felt like it was good. I'm gonna watch it, and I'll give y'all more of what I think after I watch it. I'll be fair. I'm just telling you from the reviews, the little reviews of the shows I've gotten to see, my thought on what I was seeing. Okay, and so for my Maxwell listeners who listen to me and have asked me what I feel about it, this is what I feel. I always feel that, and maybe I am. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Okay, so that's why I'm open to saying maybe it's how I see something. Okay, but yeah, I say that that's where I feel like there is a missing thing there. There's all the aesthetics, the bells and whistles, but I feel there is a connection point to it. There is a, there it is. There is a string between who, like, I felt like with Prince, you got elements of the real Prince on stage. Like Prince wasn't vulnerable, but he was vulnerable at times. He and not to be saying that Maxwell, I feel like Maxwell is guarded in himself and giving you himself. Like I would love to see, there used to be this show that came on VH1 called Storytelling, where the artists would talk about why they wrote songs and why they came up with the concepts or how they came up with different things. I know Maxwell did that years ago. I never saw the whole show. I don't know if that whole show is on VH1 or not. I've seen other people who did. That seems like such a good venue, like for Maxwell to have something like that, because I feel like we need to connect. Maxwell gives us mystery most of the time. It's cool. I like it. But I think there should be, can we get some connection? Who are you as a, I think that would be a good space for him, like to see him talk about his music. Like, how did you come up with this song? What's the connection? What's the drive? I love what he just did with the Silent Serenade tour. I thought it was nice. It looked great. But I'm just saying, I think a venue for him would be really good if we got to hear him connect more to what these things are about. Like, even if you're saying, I'm just leaving it to your interpretation, and I've had experience, but maybe your experience is uh 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 different, and so yeah, like I just feel there's that lack of connection there. I feel all the time, even in his regular shows. I mean, I love the shows. The shows are great. You say, well, Carlotta, what are you connecting to? I like him as an artist. I think he's really good. I think there are but I think that he's got so much more in the tank. I'm saying that he's really good. His bare minimum is others really good. He's such a good performer that he can get away with bare minimum. He can get away with not connecting. That's why I did the Jennifer Hudson versus Janet having to work really hard. When some things come naturally to people, like if you naturally can do stuff, sometimes, I'm not saying this is him, but I'm just using this as an example. You can take for granted that you're good at it. You could just be like, I write in my sleep, or I do this and that. And so it's hard to put as much in it because you can easily do it. And it's people who can't do it as easy and have to work really hard at it that tends to put so much of self in it. And I'm not saying, maybe I'm wrong. I might be all the way wrong. Okay. Just seeing what I'm feeling a little bit. Okay. But I'll tell y'all how I feel about it more so next show. Okay. Because I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be fair. I said I'm a little too much already, but I'm gonna be fair and I'm gonna watch it and really give it. But it looked good. Everything looked good. The band sound great. Everything, it looked good. But I just sometimes think that okay, you're putting together this show. Like what? Like I feel like there's not differences. Like it be very unique. Like I said, heavy on the uniqueness, heavy on who you different things. But oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that to myself till I watch the show, and then I'll let y'all know. I'll probably have the words for it when I watch it. Okay, I might do a special review tonight after I've seen it. Okay, I'm gonna watch 2 shows, and I'll try to give y'all a special review. All right, you guys. I am out. Have a good one. I'm gonna leave y'all with some of this electric music. All right, y'all. Here's feeding the ducks. See y'all.